And I'm Guy. And this is your home for everything Alberta Independence, broadcasting live 6 days a week, twice a day, Monday through Friday at 12 noon and 5 p.m. Once on Saturday at 5 p.m. and Sunday, well, I'm not even going to say Sunday anymore, but Sunday is guaranteed to be an interview every Sunday. But next week, I think Sunday through Thursday, we're going to release an interview every single day. We're a little bit backed up and the interviews we've recorded.
Yes, and we are very appreciative of everybody that has interviewed with us because it's been a lot. So expect a lot more interviews coming. Thank you to everybody that did see the Dallas Brody interview. It was very enlightening. It was great to hear what she had to say about Alberta independence. We're going to play a little bit as we go start the show. But first of all, thank you so much for joining us today right now. I know we didn't have a noon show because I was on WDW Pro talking about the entertainment industry, Hollywood, and wokeness, essentially. But if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. It really does help us out. Also, hit the like button. We're trying to get to 100 likes per stream. It really helps out the stream as well. We try to read all your comments. We usually get a lot, so thank you so much. We love to hear what you have to say. If you really, really want your comment read and you feel so inclined, you can always super chat and we pause the whole show. Otherwise, after each segment, we attempt to read all your comments.
Yeah, and I will say we did bump up Dallas Brody because we were surprised to get that interview, but we have a lot of people with inside the Alberta independence movement coming out next week with their interviews. I think it's all people inside of Alberta independence. I'm sorry on the delay for release. Yes. We weren't expecting to get this many interviews, and it's really
at once.
Made us re-jostle our schedule. We're just getting used to doing 2 lives a day and almost 2 interviews a day we've been conducting at this point.
Exactly. So expect Chris Scott, Freedom Calendar. There's a lot of people we've been lucky to interview that are coming up this coming week and Sunday. Sunday, I believe, will be Chris Scott.
Yeah.
Critical Compass, etc., etc. You'll see. But I'll say hello to all of you first. Troglodyte says, "Hola amigos, Libertad de Alberta." I'll do a slight grammar correction there. It's para Alberta, for Alberta, but it's fine. Thank you. And exactly, freedom for Alberta. Hello, Don Nedlick says, "Hi, NNG, long one. I'd like to see small roadside signs showing independence benefits, not issues, nothing arguable. Hundreds of different benefits of thousands of signs spread around our cities to..." And it's continued, so I'll wait until you write it.
That's a fantastic idea, though. And more than just a yard sign that says Alberta Independence, I don't think that's going to do that much for us because we're trying to convince people on the other side. 60% of the people are almost 60%. We're going to have to convince a large portion of that. It's not the soft middle anymore. It's more of a hardened opposition. So we're going to really need very interesting signs and things like that. Very interesting factoids on those signs. So I absolutely love that idea. I'm going to keep pitching it because this is my first time hearing it. And man, that's sitting up a light bulb in my brain.
Yes. So thank you so much. I'll finish reading your message once it comes in. Primors007 says, "Hola Nat y Guy." Hola. Thank you for being here. Says, "Perfect timing. Just sitting down to eat some freshly made tacos. I'm guessing how do the Mexican señoritas like tacos? Because I plan to eat many." I like tacos al pastor. You can Google it with pineapple. I'm pineapple on pizza person. I know, don't judge me too harshly. But I don't like it with ham. I like it with pepperoni. So it's even worse.
That's the problem. I don't mind ham and pineapple. Ham and pepperoni is a little bit crazy for me. I'm usually forced to eat it because I eat my half of the pizza and then I start going on to her half after that.
Yes, he always eats my food. But
don't need to complain about it.
And I always ask for extra pineapple as well. Silverfeet says, "Hi, Guy, did you see the videos of the ghost creature flying all over Metro Vancouver?"
Oh, no, I'm going to look that up directly after this because everybody that watches the show knows I love conspiracy theories, UFOs, Bigfoots, dogmen, you name it. I love it. It's how I decompress.
Last night, says Silverfeet. Yeah, you decompress, but speaking of last night.
Well, we don't need to bring up last night.
After you had decompressed, I was up finishing editing the Dallas Brody interview and I went into the bedroom. I just slightly moved the bedspread a little bit so I would have something to cover myself with because it was, it wasn't that cold. But he got up and started screaming at me. And
I sat up in bed.
He sat up in bed like the Exorcist.
I guess I woke up from a nightmare, I guess.
Like the Exorcist. And he said, "What are you doing?" And he had a shirt and he was waving it around. I don't know what he thought I was, but it was very funny. I wish I had filmed that. Justin GP says, "And Nat did great at WDW Pro." Oh, thank you so much. And I got more of a chance to speak because it was only 3 of us today. Usually I try to let everybody else speak as well because I'm pretty long-winded, as you may have realized by now.
Well, and they're starting to transition a little bit more into political topics, which I absolutely love. It makes it a lot more bearable for me to watch the entire show. Usually I watch portions of it. Today I ended up sitting right here next to you off camera.
Because you're more interested in the political stuff.
I'm more interested in politics.
I like the culture stuff.
But you were able to bring up Alberta independence a few times.
And thank you so much to them for continuing with the topic as well. And to Culture Casino as well, we might be able to interview him because he seemed pretty knowledgeable on the topic already. So.
Well, he was very pro Alberta independence. And for most Americans don't know about it, WDW Pro was a very large national audience for us to talk about Alberta independence. Yeah. I really loved the opportunity there.
Yeah, so thank you to WDW Pro and all the rest as well, Lauren and Culture Casino. No, Don continues his comment. Hold on. So it ended in hundreds of different benefits on thousands of signs spread around our cities. 2, informed that 60% not yet on board, who for different reasons do not or will not hear our views, make them see our views as they drive by. That's a very good point.
Yeah, we need easy to read, beneficial points to Alberta independence. I think we need some slogans, but we don't need to lean too hard into slogans because we've seen what happened with Poilievre. Every time he spoke, it was slogan, 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 then get to his talking points. It was almost too much. We do need slogans here or there. I think Poilievre leaned a little bit too hard into it, but using those here and there complemented by actual factoids that are easy to understand. And I think a lot of the content creators need to start making shorts that are easy to digest for the non-politically engaged.
Speaking to ourselves.
And we hate making shorts, man.
Don Nadalek also says signs like gas 500 cents per liter, vote yes on October 19th, or even prompt pothole repairs, vote yes October 19th.
Yeah, and we need to come up with a secure list of that. I'd say if we can get a list of 500 different things and poll a lot of those, which ones work best in which areas, so we know exactly where to put what signs and things like that. Targeted politics, I guess.
Errol says, howdy doody from Calgary. Hello, and thank you for being here. Primors 007 says, not how, hope, taco in hand. Oh, you hope Mexican senoritas like tacos. Yes, they do. Justin Chippy says, pineapple on pizza, unsub. Lol, joking. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That might have been the most controversial opinion I've said on this show ever, probably. Well, but this is going to be even grosser for a lot of people, but I order extra pineapple and then I put honey on top.
Well, the thing is,
I don't think as much as you want.
I think it's not that radical, but when you're combining the pineapple with pepperoni rather than ham, that's one thing. And then you like pineapple on your tacos as well.
Yes, because that's how you eat tacos al pastor.
Okay.
Primors 007 says, pineapple on pizza, please, Nat, I'm eating here. And I added the honey after that, so there you go. And hot sauce. We're weird down here in Mexico. Roger Arsenault says...
Well, I think you're weird down here in Mexico, not everybody else, Matt.
I was talking about the pineapple on tacos. Roger Arsenault asks, wondering what's your thoughts on Danielle Smith? Do you think she's trustworthy? I think she's walking a very tight rope. I think we might have to be judging her for her actions, not so much her words all the time.
She's come out as honest as she could, says she wants to keep Alberta part of Canada, but she understands people have a lot of complaints and grievances in Alberta. And I think she knows she is the only national politician with a profile that is holding together the Conservative vote and the independence vote. And that independence vote is not only growing in Alberta, but Saskatchewan, as well as British Columbia. She's literally the only politician that can hold those two demographics together firmly. And the only way she's going to continue to hold them together is to say we have to let democracy play itself out in Alberta and have a vote on October 19th. And even if it goes for independence, and I know she doesn't want that, at least publicly, I think she's going to land well on either side of the coin here. So.
And as we've said before, I also think she has this great opportunity that she's kind of carved out for herself, where she can continue to say, I want to stand up for democracy, not for either side. I want the voters to have their voices heard. I want the citizens to have their voices heard. And there's 700 people that want this question answered one way or the other. Well, so she can continue to lean on that. And she knows, I think, she could make history just by doing that.
Well, and it's lucky we have Lukasik's question there because it allows her to paint a different narrative saying, I have a mandate in Alberta. I can't not have a referendum question on October 19th. I don't just have 300,000 signatures. I don't just have 400,000 signatures. I have 700,000. And a lot of people were scared to sign one petition or the other. We have well over 1 million people that want this question answered. And a lot of people that have been watching the media want this question answered as well, so we can go together, so we can go forward together as Albertans after October 19th, whether it's a success or a failure. And I think that's how she needs to pitch it. I think she knows that. At this point, she has to know her future political career doesn't depend on her being a nationalist or an independent supporter, but a supporter of democracy.
Exactly.
I'm going to try to reach out to her. Maybe we're very small. I don't expect her to get back, but if she did, it would really say something that she's willing to have the conversation with the other side.
Exactly. Don Nadalek says and corrects 50 cents per liter, not 500. I didn't even catch it. I was just reading it, but yes, 50 cents a liter, not 500 cents a liter. Justin GP says, my billboard idea, do you want pineapple on your pizza? Not in the new independent Alberta. Vote yes. That would be a good one, I guess. And Troglodyte, another suggestion for the billboards saying, happy with Canada's direction? No, independence then.
Well, and I keep showing these little billboard ads they have on X, and they've been doing a fantastic job with putting little slogans in a picture of a billboard. And I've been profiling them because I want to see those become actual real billboards at some point.
Mm-hmm. Troglodyte says, honey on pizza is just wrong. No, it's not. Try it. Teresa Freedom, thank you so much for the $5 super chat saying, I think she is maybe also working to move to the federal Conservative Party leader after PP.
Well, I don't know. I think they're going to try to get rid of Pierre Poilievre here. They're going to have a few more floor crossers, maybe a vote of inconfidence, something like that. It's a shame because as far as national Canada goes, he's the best you're going to get. Now, I'm a supporter of independence and I don't like his stance on independence, but I still wish the best for Canada once Alberta does get its independence. But I think they want to replace him with a Jason Kenney or a Doug Ford. I don't think those individuals are going to last very long because the Conservatives across Canada, number one, aren't going to get up behind them. And people that did vote for independence or are going to vote for independence also aren't going to get behind them. So I think Danielle Smith is going to have an easy walk into the federal opposition leader after a Jason Kenney or a Doug Ford. And she's going to look really good at that point because people are going to be absolutely fed up with Doug Ford or a Jason Kenney. The problem is, as soon as you put a Ford or a Kenney in there, that hollows out Canada. Any conservatives or even people within the independence movement are going to leave Canada at that point. Mm-hmm. I mean, the independence people are going to stay for the vote, but if that doesn't go our way for some reason, a lot of people in independence are going to leave. And this is why you see polling numbers already shift in province after province. The only two blue provinces in a lot of these polls are Saskatchewan and Alberta. It's the only places that have a critical mass where you could potentially save Western values and vote for independence.
Yeah, exactly. Justin, and a few more comments and then we'll go into
the breaking news, actually. Yeah. And we're going to show something from the Dallas Brody interview. And we wanted to talk about British Columbia issues with her because she's from British Columbia that were related to Alberta independence issues on their face. Because you're facing a lot of the same issues in Alberta that she's facing in BC. We're trying to raise a national conversation there. But near the end of the interview, we asked her if she supported the Alberta independence vote on October 19th. And man, did she come out with a strong answer. We're going to show that. I know a lot of people didn't watch the full interview. That clip was absolutely fantastic.
Yes, Justin GP says, gotta try pineapple pizza with hot peppers. Pretty good, actually. I know I'm a traitor, but what can I say? It was tasty. See, I'm telling you. Another crazy idea is pizza that they do here in Mexico is pizza with pear, slices of pear, and what's that meat called?
I don't know. I don't like your I don't like your pear pizza. Like pineapple was radical enough for me.
Pear, balsamic, prosciutto, and ricotta.
Yeah, I can't. She tries to order
honey on top. It's really good.
She tries to order pizzas so I don't snake her food and take her pieces.
Which he always eats my food. Miss Altote, you'd think I'd be skinnier. Miss Altote says Smith is a shoo-in for president of Alberta if she wants it.
Well, not a shoo-in because of Keith Wilson decided to run. He is an absolute shoo-in, but I think he's also leaving the door and saying, no, I have absolutely no interest. So Danielle Smith knows she has a direct path with Alberta independence because other than Keith Wilson, there may be a few figures that could challenge her, but especially if she's the one that allows the vote to go forward on October 19th. And then again, she's in the position where she's the one that negotiates with the federal government for independence. The only way she doesn't negotiate is if she herself steps down. So if she cuts a good deal as well, if Keith Wilson didn't want to run, yeah, I think she may be a shoo-in at that point if all those things happen in that progression.
And just a few more because it's related, and so we can move on from the pizza topic. But Primors 007 says, your CPP has been promised to India. Vote yes to independence to save it. Exactly. To get it back, essentially.
That's funny, too.
Yeah. Justin GP says, it was a great interview with Dallas today. Everyone hopefully can go and watch it later.
And I will say this. The Dallas Brody interview is definitely getting censored, and it's because she brought up a lot of topics and a lot of words we knew when she was doing it that you just don't say. She brought up the mustache.
That YouTube doesn't like.
She brought up the mustache.
But she doesn't know.
She brought up the mustache man a few times, but said the whole word. She said like 5 other censored words. We really appreciate the interview, and I actually appreciate her frankness, but the only way you're going to see that recommendation is if you go search it out, because YouTube is not going to push that out. I guarantee you.
Exactly.
She was fantastic, and I agreed with everything she said.
Yes. Primors 007 says, pear pizza is called pie, Nat. It's different because you don't put prosciutto on pie or ricotta. Justin GP says, and this is interesting, you've been here since then. We all remember Donut Gate guy. Donut Gate. When you ate my donut.
Oh my God. Now this is turning into an actual scandal.
Chocolate says, that's not pizza. It's hot bread with weird crap on it.
They're trying to cancel me with Donut Gate here.
They're trying to cancel me with pineapple on pizza, with fruit on pizza.
But that's right. That's a righteous cancellation there.
No. But no, again, if you put prosciutto on it and ricotta, it's not, and tomato sauce on the bottom, that is not hot bread with weird stuff on it. Justin GP says, saw you laughing there, Nat. Yeah, I saw the whole pear pizza is called pie. It made me laugh a lot.
And we do appreciate everybody that went over the WDW Pro today, because we had a few questions related to Canada and Alberta, and they had to be coming from our Canadian audience. We appreciate it. It's a culture show that talks a little bit of politics, but mainly things about Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So anytime we can anytime we can shine a light on what's going on in Alberta to a national audience that might not be as politically engaged in the United States, I think it's going to help us out dramatically.
Yes. And Primors 007 says, what do you expect? Nat eats bugs, so fruit on pizza isn't a stretch. Yes, my food choices are weird. Alba Twitch, hello, says, pizza is by definition just bread with weird stuff on it. Exactly. See, I'm right. But now, finally, since you're tappy on the table.
I'm right. Let's go. Boom. No, you're not right. Let's stop the show for a minute and talk about this.
Let's go to breaking news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
And not to be too self-serving, but it's just because the interview and the answer were very important by Dallas Brody.
And I didn't want to ambush her right off the bat with a question about, do you support Alberta independence? That's why we wanted to build a trust, a relationship, and then ask her if she supported Albertans' rights to vote on October 19th. And we could have directly asked her if she supported Alberta independence, gauged on her answer, I think.
But also because we wanted to highlight what is going on in BC. Again, we used to live there. That was the province that we used to live in, and saw the destruction of it, and partly, and the federal government too, were reasons why we left. So I also wanted to have that conversation with her, and for her to serve as a warning, what she's been seeing within BC, to not just the rest of Canada, but the rest of the world as well, because a lot of the policies are being implemented all over in different countries.
What's going on in BC is Alberta's future in 5 years if you don't vote for independence. So it was interesting. A lot of the things that are happening in BC are starting to happen in Alberta. They're just at a much more progressed level within British Columbia. And that's why we voted to leave so early and move to Mexico ourselves.
Yes, but here is the famous question. And we're trying and we'll continue to try. And we're also seeing concurrently almost in Alberta, there's even talk about and a lot of discussion around independence. And what would be your view, or what is your view on the right of Albertans to hold a referendum on October 19th?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful that Alberta is doing this. Why do I feel that way? Because I've watched Alberta, well, frankly, get screwed for my whole life. first under Trudeau when he did the National Energy Program and forced Alberta to sell its oil at beneath world prices to Canadian. It was just horrible policy. I mean, and Alberta is probably one of our greatest provinces. And from a work ethic standpoint, from a get her done, get it handled, just work all night, work all day, none of this, oh, I only work 3 hours and then I take a 2-hour break. My father was quite involved in the oil and gas industry in British Columbia and then ended up working for Turbo Resources in Alberta. And I remember he'd tell me, Dallas, you can't believe the difference in attitude in Alberta. He goes, I just love it there. The people work. He goes, you go out to see them putting in the pipelines, and he says, they work all night with floodlights. They work all day and they don't stop. Like he said, in British Columbia, they work, only 5 hours. And then, he said, these people are so different. And it really is an incredibly powerful province. And I think that it's time that they're not getting a good deal from our Confederation. It's not worked for them. It's not working for BC. Section 35 of the Constitution of Canada is literally bankrupting our province and destroying our province. We can't do these treaties anymore.
It's also good that she was able to connect them both there at the end, but just the fact that a politician from a different province has given, and now Maxime Bernier too have given those answers and have shown that they do support Alberta independence, even though politically it might not be super beneficial to them to do so, just shows and proves that it is important for leaders to be standing up and to be able to give them the space, I would say as well, to give those answers.
Well, we interviewed Maxime Bernier. He came out with a direct statement saying he supported Alberta independence. He had in the last election, 20,000 PPC supporters within Alberta. If we can get even half of that to vote for independence because of his endorsement, that's absolutely fantastic. And you have to understand this, PPC voters and BC1 voters are probably the furthest right. It's kind of where I stand in my political views as well. But these people, know what Canada is, and a lot of them are preparing to leave the country. These are the exact voters that may move to Alberta to vote for independence. This is the kind of people that have already seen Canada is headed in the wrong direction.
Exactly. And again, it does allow us to, or what we're trying to do and kind of lead by example, is to start that national conversation and bring up the different and concurrent issues that affect multiple provinces and multiple people that might be looking at independence as the answer and looking at Alberta as that first one to move, and the ability that Alberta has had up to this point to progress with the independence idea and movement and actually make it into a reality. So inspiring others to also look at it and say, hey, it's not impossible.
Well, and again, neither her nor Maxime Bernier asked for questions before the interview. They didn't know what we were going to ask. When I asked that question, she did not give a canned answer about Alberta independence. It seemed very close to her heart because her father worked in Alberta and told her a lot about when he worked in Alberta and how hardworking the people are. So I really actually appreciated that answer. I expected a canned answer. I didn't know what to expect. So that was fantastic.
And once again, thank you so much to Ms. Dallas Brody for sitting with us, interviewing with us, and being so kind with her time as well. And secondly, on the breaking news that you put in here from CBC Watcher, quote, Chief.
Oh, I put this in here because the Dallas Brody interview, this is a related issue, but this clip came up in my timeline just before we were going on the air, and this freaking dropped my jaw. We actually had a Native come out on a stage like this and call it for how it actually is. This was absolutely fantastic on this gentleman's behalf.
And this is Chief Billy Morin.
When the Liberals are in office, which is often, they spend and they leverage the federal spending power. How can we resist that from a provincial perspective? How can we leverage provinces or even like the First Nations from like an autonomous perspective? How can we resist the federal spending power?
Well, I just want to build on that from your first question is what we're resisting. And so, I'm very proud where I come from. I come from Enoch Cree Nation, First Nation, Indian Reserve. But I was just telling my fellow MP today, to build on your question, what we're protecting, resisting is turning Canada into an Indian Reserve. And I say that with all due respect to my own people. We are so built through an Indian Act system to depend on this government And it's not real nation to nation. They use those buzzwords. It's not real reconciliation. All that's really grown over the last little while is from a 4,000 person bureaucracy, a $12 billion budget to a $25 billion budget. But health and outcomes that are really matter to First Nations people are actually going down or stagnant, no matter how much money they spend. And this is because it's systematically made to be dependent on them to wave their cool flag or their announcement, and nothing actually really changes. So, you know, it was a little bit of an epiphany to my fellow MP today that that's what they're doing to Canada. When we have to argue in the House all day long and they throw up, oh, we're doing a school lunch program. Well, we just want to feed our own kids. We don't want you to feed our kids. We want the system to do
Pause
that.
it for a second. And I don't know the background of, no, I want to finish playing that. I don't know the background of this chief, but man, absolutely fantastic and honest statement in this particular case. So good on him.
And that aligns with how I led my nation as well, which is like, I just want to stand on my own 2 feet. I don't have to go to you to do anything. Like when I got a mortgage, my first ever mortgage on reserve, I have to ask Mark Miller for permission. That's what the Indian Act does. And slowly but surely, this government is turning this whole thing into a socialistic Indian reserve. And I'm gonna fight against that as well.
Absolutely fantastic, man. And he could have a political career where people outside the reserves would vote for him.
Yes.
I mean, again, at least judging him by that clip. So.
Yes. But back to your comments, and then we'll move on to
Alberta, stay free.
Yes.
What?
You interrupted me there. Albert Twitch says, hi there. And also says, good, sincere lady. I liked how she stood for the ostrich farmers. Yes, that too. And we didn't even have time to bring that up, but I'd love to have her back on to be able to delve deeper into some of those topics as well.
Yeah, usually when we reach out to we usually ask for 60 minutes or an hour for an interview, but when we reach out to politicians, we find a lot of the ones that have said yes will say yes to about 30 to 45 minutes. So we request 30 minutes. That's why we couldn't delve into a wider range of topics.
Because we want to respect their time too.
Yeah. And we want to maximize the chance of getting an interview, especially because we're such a small channel. I was surprised both those individuals interviewed with us.
And Troglodyte says Dallas is I don't know that acronym. WYSIWYG, so unusual in politicians. Sorry, pardon my ignorance, not sure what that acronym is. Troglodyte says, lol, I belong to PPC and 1BC. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Troglodyte is in BC, I believe, still. Hopefully you can get out soon. Albert Twitch says, good man. And Miss Altoad says, that was a great clip, holy cow.
Well, yeah, and I've known of Dallas Brody for quite a while now. I've been following her a long time, but I never looked into the 1BC actual platform. Once we were going to interview her, I said, let's go to the website. Let's look at the platform.
Because it kind of started after we had left.
Yeah, and my God, it is a non-compromising platform. Some of the things on there she shouldn't have to say, but in British Columbia, you do. She wants to bring back actual letter grades in school because they're completely getting rid of letter grades, which is insane to me.
Oh, thank you, Alba Twitch and Troglodyte saying that acronym means what you see is what you get. Thank you.
That's a great acronym. And that
sometimes
describes
when my ESL comes out a little bit. But yeah, that perfectly describes her. And there's so few, but I think those should be the ones people should be putting in leadership roles and that are honest and sincere and aren't afraid to, again, just wait for the polling to see if what they want to propose is popular before they propose it.
Well, and she's looking for people to recruit into 1BC right now. She talked about that, and she's trying to reach out to somebody in Seashell that just recently went through a cancellation. Mm-hmm. So hopefully she's able to find good people that are still left in BC.
Yes. Well, that are still in BC, but not left, not on the left. Dollar Robinson says, BC government is making science into Indigenous language. Canada is not off the rail. It's a train wreck. And we've talked about this. Trudge Street, they renamed Trudge Street and into an unpronounceable, unwritable thing where you don't on your keyboard you don't even have those symbols for to be able to spell the name, and a lot of people got their mail lost. They weren't able to pay their mortgages. It became a huge disaster, all to virtue signal.
Absolutely, and
that is BC in just one word.
Well, and you're seeing it starting to happen in Alberta, and they're starting with schools and things like that. But once they start changing street names, so there's not literally letters on the keyboard, so you can spell it out, people can't get their bills. They can't get their mortgages, like you said. Mm-hmm. People don't understand the repercussions of this. I guess, I don't know how they got it. So they were putting men into women's prisons, but that's a whole nother thing.
The whole kind of worms. Leap Tears Ree says, so someone please catch me up. What do you all think? The chances are Alberta actually breaks away, which I support.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I wouldn't be dedicating 8 to 12 hours a day. I literally sleep, get up, eat, take a shower, go for our show, do our second show. I have to research 2 to 3 hours to get all the stories. Then we're trying to get interviews, putting out interview requests. My entire life revolves around this, and it will continue to revolve around this until October 19th, when I believe we will get independence.
And
Now, we started slower. We were doing maybe 3-4 hours a day, just what we were doing normally. But I believe in this cause so much, and I believe we can actually have an impact here, that I'm willing to dedicate my entire life to it until October 19th at a minimum. And even after that, once we do get independence, I want to keep following the story and bring transparency into politics and into business, because we're going to need radical transparency in an independent and free Alberta.
And I will also say too, we're doing all this whole push and interviews and etc. to also be able to maybe start even a national conversation, international conversation, I would say, and let other people know what's actually going on in Alberta, because eventually the eyes of the world will be on Alberta, and we have to be able to let them know what the truth is within.
Well, when they start saying Russia collusion hoax, they couldn't even stick with that for 24 hours, but they're going to build other sorry ass narratives like they built in other countries. And if we can raise a national and international conversation, people around the world have already seen this. There is mainstream right-wing media that will point out the ridiculousness of Canadian media, and we need to utilize those sources when we can. But we need to start more of a conversation just outside of Alberta as well, because the federal government wins if they silo the conversation.
Exactly.
They're trying to silo Quebec into one problem they'll deal with in a year or two, and they're trying to silo Alberta so they can deal with it now on its own without any interference from other provinces or anything like that. They don't want a bunch of people raising their voices with discontent across the entire nation of Canada right now.
Edward says, Enoch, west edge of Edmonton. I'm guessing that gentleman. Albert Twitch says, tough to say, perhaps a coin flip. I try to talk to as many people as I can about it. Seems like the support is building. And that is good. And that is why I also continue to say, talk to each other and have those conversations, have those debates, bring up the subject, make it not taboo as the mainstream media wants it to be, and how they're trying to perpetuate the narrative that this is something that only fringe weird people talk about. No, make it so everybody within Alberta, even not just Alberta, everybody is talking about it, discussing it, debating it, and doing the citizen engagement that it will take to be able to get Alberta to be independent, which it will be. Chocolate says Indigenous had no written language. It's all a crock. And they made up a whole alphabet. It's a whole thing that kind of started at UBC also, the University of British Columbia. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, and I will say this about the First Nations or Indigenous nations right now. They're having an independence movement of their own. They see billions of dollars going to the elites of their tribe, and they are not happy. There is no infrastructure on a lot of those reserves. A lot of that money is being pocketed, and not even a single dollar is making its way down. And we called on the First Nations to kind of stand up, and a lot of people in the First Nations in Alberta specifically, the members, not the elites, did stand up, and it's really shattering the narrative the federal government was wanting to use.
Miss Altoad says, chances are better and better the more you and I do the work necessary. And I love that attitude, and that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. Liptears Ree says, I'm so excited about it. It will change the life of every Albertan.
Yeah.
And again, not just Alberta, if we can start that national and international conversation, because it can become, you all can become an example to many, many other citizens that are going through similar things, or that are that haven't been listened by their governments for maybe ever, I would say, some of them. Miss Altot says, love your dedication. Thanks to both of you. And also because we uprooted our whole lives to leave, to escape the Trudeau regime, to escape Canada. And we lost complete hope over Canada. A place where I thought I was going to build a life, start a family, get a house, and all of that it dwindled more and more the more I stayed, the opportunity to be able to do that. So when I saw, and when we saw that there was an actual movement and it seemed like a reality, we decided to put our full support behind it, because it was that one spark of hope that we kind of felt during the Freedom Convoy that then got unfortunately crushed. But then to see that very similar spirit and that very similar enthusiasm and motivation and hope within Alberta independence is what made us say, well, if we're going to do if we're not just going to complain about Canada, but try to do something about it, we have to throw our full support behind Alberta independence.
Well, I have an axe to grind with the federal government.
That
The
too.
way they stepped over every red line I had, whether it was bodily autonomy during the truckers' convoy, there was a number of things that came up that literally said, I'm done with this freaking country. But then they continue to do to every citizen, the children and grandchildren of people, the way they treated old people in homes during the jibby jab era, and they wouldn't let people visit their family members when they were about to pass away. I mean, I have an axe to grind, and Alberta independence is a way to kind of save Western values and to say, everybody that believes in these sets of values, move to Alberta, vote for independence. Let's do this together. We don't have to take what Mark Carney, what Justin Trudeau, and what the federal government is trying to shove down our throats right now.
Exactly. But now, speaking of, let's go to Alberta Stay Free. I'll continue reading your comments in a little bit, but because we're talking about this, let's just go to this section.
Yeah.
Sweet home Alberta, where the roots run deep and the money trees grow.
And now it's going on a tangent there because
I spoke too fast there, and I kind of went out of breath.
when
I
she
need to start exercising again.
when the stinger came on there, nobody sees kind of what we say. She's like, I'm out of breath.
I talked way too fast. Okay, I'm kind of lightheaded now. But Rise of Alberta, I just got too excited. Rise of Alberta says, Alberta doesn't have to decline with Canada. A better future starts with independence. Alberta independence. Hashtag Alberta independence.
Yeah, and I love things like this. And this can go right into the signs that people were talking about earlier as well. Having slogans on billboards will work. Again, we don't want to lean too hard into it because of what happened to Polyev, but putting actual messages of statistics and things like that are easy to comprehend and everybody kind of already knows, but to see it in a visual form will really help connect to the non-politically engaged. And some things with actual slogans like this will work well as well if they're well placed.
Exactly.
And that's why we need polling, not just on who's supporting it and who's not supporting it, but what messaging works best and what demographics, so we know where to put billboards and certain messages.
Exactly. And also, we're seeing the other side doing funny things, as always. Globe and Mail says, quote, Kenny calls on Federalists to step up in Alberta separation debate because apparently he's the only one putting the boxing gloves on, and they're not really fitting him because he's fat.
Well, he got absolutely destroyed, and he tried to frame it all around economics because it was a room filled with people within an organization about economics, and he got destroyed on that level. He got destroyed with Bruce Party when he tried to bring up cultural issues.
Yeah.
There's not many arguments, if any, for the nationalists to have Alberta stay in Canada. He's the one trying to pitch it, and he's looking around and say, I got nothing left, and now I have to do another debate. I need other people to step up with me. Even people that support Alberta to stay part of Canada don't want to be part of the debate because they don't want to look like fools on stage. So as much as I don't like Kenny, I do appreciate he stepped up to 2 debates so far. Now the second one wasn't done publicly. If he stands up to if he stands up and goes to this third debate and it's actually on camera and it can actually be released, I will give him some credit there because nobody else is stepping up for a national debate on this level. So I disagree with him vehemently. I don't like him at all, but he's the only one stepping up for a debate at this point. And we need people to step up in a debate because we're going to run circles around him every time. And that really helps push people to vote for independence.
Exactly. And Jeff Ross says he knows he has no credibility down there. Exactly. And again, he might be a lone wolf in a lone island just screaming into the void, but the mainstream media has been taking him up on his talking points and his ridiculous allegations and claims as well. But also, Western Standard says, quote, Sylvester urges Alberta independent supporters to purchase a UCP membership.
Yeah, and we have 2 articles here. We're going to go into this. The next one's going to show exactly how you can do this. We're not in a full campaign right now because we don't have the question on the ballot. Mitch Sylvester has done a couple interviews now, and he's pointed that out. The next step is we have to make sure this gets on the ballot, whether it's the ideological judge taking the stay off or it's Danielle Smith pushing a question onto that October 19th ballot, whether it's the stay free question or it's Lukaszik's question or it's a combination of both. We need to get that on there. The only way we can get that on there right now and the only real game plan is what Mitch Sylvester came up with there, if you can go back to it, and that is to join the UCP. It costs $10. And it will put a ton of independent supporters with inside the UCP so we can raise our voices, so she knows it's good for her to let democracy go forward. She doesn't have to side with independents again. She only has to put the question on the October 19th ballot, and her political future is kind of riding on it at this point. But we really want to drive home that message, because Danielle Smith is our only real option. Even if the judge takes off the stay, we still need Danielle Smith. She is an important figure. We want to do it in the politest way possible. And really, giving her more power through joining the UCP is that way. So she's going to want to keep the Conservatives, and even the Conservatives that want to stay part of Alberta, and the individuals in the independence movement. She wants to keep that coalition together. And the best way to do it is to put a question on the October 19th ballot, because it's not just independence people that are requesting a question. Let's remember that. Luke Hasek requested a question as well.
Yeah. And he has been stepping back a bit and saying, oh no, but I didn't mean it. I didn't actually mean it as the question, because now he sees that because he didn't think ahead more than 2 steps into it, it might actually be used to get Alberta its freedom. But Rise of Alberta says, quote, every Alberta independent supporter should buy or renew their UCP membership. If the courts try to block the democratic will of Albertans, which is what they're trying to do, we need strong pro-independence voices inside the governing party. Click below to purchase or renew your UCP membership.
And again, leave it here. And again, if we want to vote for independence on October 19th, this is the way to do it. We have to get past this hurdle. The best way to do it is to join the UCP. I know some people may be against the idea, but for the long-term benefit of actually getting the question on that ballot, and so we can actually go into campaigning, you're going to see once that question gets on that ballot, a lot of young people and a lot of demographics that were skeptical are going to come around, and we should have a little bit of a surge in a poll. We should be able to go from 35% in a Rebel News poll to hopefully 40%. And that's going to reduce the amount of work that we need to do. But in order to do that, we got to get on the ballot. The best way to do it is UCP. If you don't know how to do it, just go to Rise of Alberta. There's the picture there. Just click on the picture, and Nat will click on it now so you can see how it's done. You could have done it live so everybody could see.
Well, things I don't know if things pop up. But yeah, it's, well, because I was going to say it's unitedconservative.ca, UNITEDCONSERVATIVE.ca.
You don't have, just click on the picture. This is exactly where it's going to bring you. And then you can join as a member, and then we're going to have a lot of sway over Danielle Smith to hopefully get that question on that October 19th ballot.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go into some comments, and then we'll go.
And you also had this from Rise of Alberta saying support Alberta in style this summer.
And we don't sell any merchandise on this channel. We're purely about Alberta independence. We do appreciate everybody that does support us through super chats and things like that. But that being said, I did like this piece of merchandise, even though it's kind of related to the Marlboro Man, but it's kind of a rebel piece of merchandise. It's not your typical merchandise you're seeing, and we're gonna have to think of different ways to get merchandising out there so people are wearing shirts that people are like, oh, I like that. Because right now what we have the Alberta flag on a thing that says independence, which is great for rural areas. But when we go into cities, we need a different way of marketing, and shirts are a great way to do that. But we need to know what's going to hit kind of where. And if we can have a rebel attitude and a rebel marketing campaign, I think that's really going to help, especially with young people and people in cities. I thought this actually did it for me. When I said it, I said, oh, well, that's different than anything else I've seen. Yeah. It says, I'm cool. I'm a rebel. The government's, a lot of people are against smoking, but man, it really harkens back to a different era as well. I liked everything about it. If I do buy a piece of merchandise, that would probably be it for me. That being said, I'm not trying to sell any merchandise here. This, I guess, is from Rise from Alberta, but we need to think when people are wearing slogans in different ways that aren't so obvious or aren't so politically forward, it can really make people ask questions as well. And also putting questions on shirts in interesting ways would help as well.
Exactly. And also let's remember that a lot of these younger people and the Gen Z are very aesthetic focused and aesthetic minded as well. I hate that word, I know, but as a girl, I get to see it a lot all over the place. And there are ways to be creative. I'm sure there's some very creative, very artistic-minded, let's just call it, people within the Alberta independence movement. So using that, making it not so obvious, because yes, as you mentioned, the Alberta flag, and it's great to be proud of the Alberta flag and of the word independence, but that might turn people off within cities, for example. But if you can get something that will stop someone and say, oh, that's cool, what's that about? And then you can start that conversation. That actually gives you a huge in that you wouldn't be able to have otherwise.
Well, and it starts an in-person conversation from you're able to plant a seed with somebody that doesn't even know that what they were really asking, which would be absolutely fantastic. What I'm seeing with a lot of the merchandise right now, and this is no disrespect to anybody that is pushing merchandise, but it's kind of like mainstream media with their cookie cutter talking points. Yeah, all the merchandise is slightly different, but it's all
very similar,
almost the same or similar. And I don't think it's starting a conversation in a unique way.
Because it's the same kind of, again, to use that word, aesthetic that has worked up to now and that maybe works for the people that have been making that merchandise. But I do like that Rise of Alberta has come up with this. I haven't gone in to see, because you just put it up now, but I haven't gone in to see if there's other similar, down that similar vein of
I haven't seen anything else. That's why I've kind of brought that up.
No, I know, but within that link that they had, I don't know if they have other versions or other options, but I do think it would be great to and go for the more female-minded ones and go for the more younger ones and the older ones, but things that people will stop and ask you about as well.
Well, and I will say a lot of people are selling merchandise, so it's already kind of set up and running. If we can make a few small adjustments, it could be really effective in a marketing campaign that funds itself, because you'll actually make a profit selling the merchandise, but then it sends the message and sparks a conversation within the community. So I think it's something that we really need to think about, because we already have that infrastructure built. You can still sell the same merchandise you've already been selling, but having unique slogans and other things on there that will appeal to people in cities could be a self-funding marketing campaign.
And it could also take maybe away from the image that we have seen the mainstream media try to pinpoint on Alberta independence. And again, making it into a cool, rebellious way, especially for the younger people too.
Yeah.
That are very frustrated as well. But I'll go back into your comments. And again, not to promote just Rise of Alberta or that shirt or whatever, but just the idea. We liked the idea. And I also really did like the idea.
Rise of Alberta is great. And that shirt was great as well, I will say. But let's go into comments, then we'll go to Alberta Politics.
Troglodyte says, First Nations didn't have streets either. And yet they were naming the ones in Vancouver. Lip Tears says, I'm driving to Alberta to celebrate with y'all. So exciting. FK Carney. I'm going to have to say it that way. But yes, FK him. Albert Twitch says, awesome. You sound like you belong here. Eventually, maybe one day, but thank you. Albert Twitch says, the old Russian collusion BS. Da.
Well, and we're going to go into that a bit today. That thing fell apart real quick. I don't even know if it lasted 24 hours. If it did last 24 hours, it didn't last more than 48 before it started crumbling.
They're still trying to push it.
No, RCMP put a statement out, and we definitely need to show that, because
true.
International media started to push this as well. The problem is it started collapsing inside of Canada, and then the mainstream media outside of Canada try to pick up on it, but the narrative has already fallen apart.
Lip Tear says, I am Scottish American. We love freedom. Yes, your favorite movie is, what's it called?
My favorite movie is Braveheart. And I will say this, it's a shame what's happening to Scotland. I follow international politics, and I kind of brought it up earlier, coincidentally enough, about men being put in women's prisons, and it's happening in mass in Scotland. There is a lot of pushback over there from that.
And Albert Twitch says, Russia has been embroiled in the largest ground conflict since World War II. I doubt they're too interested.
Well,
not to the lips.
I almost look at this as confession through projection. It's Canada that is laundering hundreds of billions of dollars, not just annually, multiple times a year over to Ukraine. So if they say Russia collusion, that kind of, I think they're thinking hot potato. People aren't going to look at the money we're actually sending to Ukraine.
Or coming in from the CCP.
They just sent over $260 billion over there again. Per capita, Canada is the largest donator to Ukraine, which is absolutely ridiculous, because the money is just going in there and disappearing. Very little of it is being spent on equipment and other things.
And the actual electoral interference that there was, that CSIS discovered from China.
Yeah.
But that they don't talk about about the elections. Lip Tear says, right now you have taxation without representation, and stay independent. Do not join the USA. We are in a civil war. Good point there. And good to hear it from an American as well. Because again, that can help break those narratives.
Well, yeah. And for all the Americans kind of watching, I kind of want to give you a sense of what Alberta is. Alberta is a very conservative place, very hardworking, and it's voted conservative for the last 93 years. And although we really, really do like the United States, especially the conservative half of the United States, I've lived there half my life. I was born in Canada, but after my mother died, my grandparents raised me. And having lived there, I can tell you the United States is very bipolar. Every 4 or 8 years, you can get somebody like a Joe Biden, or possibly in 2028, which I cringe to think at, maybe a Gavin Newsom. And we don't want to go from a Canadian master to a Gavin Newsom being our master, especially when we have a track record of voting conservative for 93 years. That's going to be a big benefit once we are our own independent nation. We can have a long-term vision of what we want from the country and not have to undercut it every 4 or 8 years with a new president getting in there.
Exactly. Alba Twitch says, if they're that worried about foreign interference, they ought to worry more about the Bank of England crowd exerting absolute control over us. And they will never want to talk about that because they're the ones that are paying the propaganda machine.
And that's really being exposed over the last couple of years by Prometheus Action Group and a lot of other online content creators. The dots are all connecting back to the City of London and the UK.
You used to talk about that a lot.
I used to talk about it a lot.
More about geopolitics. Liptier says, when the Canadian government froze the truckers' bank accounts, that sent a shiver down my spine, and ours too. And that was, again, one of those other red lines that they crossed where we said we're going to leave as soon as we can. Let's just save up enough so we can survive outside of Canada.
Well, I don't got much in my Mexican bank account, but let's see Carney try to cancel that.
Yeah,
maybe he's going to try to take my pesos.
As I said, unless Claudia Sheinbaum and Mark Carney come knocking on my door and tell me to shut up, I'll continue to speak no matter what.
Yeah.
And find ways to continue to do so as well and get the message to Canada. Dollar Robinson says, Carney was asked in an interview, what about Alberta separation? His answer was complete gibberish when Carney talks about it like it's dragging fingernails. It's like dragging fingernails on a chalkboard. Yes, and that's literally all he said.
We played it the day it came out. I believe I may be playing it again tonight. I can't remember if I put it in there, but it was a very important statement because it was the first time he was asked directly about the question, and it was done after the signatures were kind of submitted, which was fantastic. I said from that, Carney actually has a lot to gain from this if he lets it go to a vote. If he's overconfident and he says, well, the signatures are low, the polling's in my favor. If I let this go, I got a mandate, and now I can federalize the country, take away sovereignty from the provinces. I can do everything I want. So it's going to be very interesting what he's thinking. I know the message went out in Ottawa because I watch a lot of Liberal shows, and a lot of people weren't taking it seriously. Carney actually had a meeting, told a lot of the ministers they need to start taking this seriously, and there needs to be a game plan. If he's doing that, I'm almost thinking he might want this thing to go to a vote so he can have a mandate. Because if he wins that, what happens at that point, which I dread to think, a lot of Conservatives are going to leave. Alberta is the last hope, not just in Alberta, but across national Canada. A lot of Conservatives across national Canada, I said, move before the vote so you can vote. A lot of them are saying, well, I'm going to move after. But if the vote doesn't go our way, they're going to leave, and he will get a super majority at that point, meaning he may want to call a snap election if he can win the independence vote in Alberta.
Chocolate says, Carney has a black belt in Bullshido.
I agree with that.
Yes. And also says, have to be strategic in the campaign. Joining UCP is smart.
Yes.
And also making it cool. Make it cool. Because it's very easy, in my opinion, to make the lefties and the crazies and the wokes seem really, I hate this word, but uncool. There's not another way I can say it. Or like passe, or like, ugh, do you really want to be woke still? Like to the young people, because they've been infected with this in the Canadian public school sector for their whole lives. So they see their teachers doing all the rainbow stuff and doing all the this and that and the indigenous nonsense. And they say, ugh, the adults are telling me what to do. And this is now the messaging. I'm sure, I don't know when you all were teenagers, but when I was a teenager, it was the conservative side that was like, ugh, that's gross and boring. And then there's the adults telling me what to do and trying to restrict me. But now, and thanks to Charlie Kirk in a big way, that has kind of slightly shifted within the youth. And again, the youth are very connected online. They know about politics way more than we give them credit for. So if we can continue to make the other side seem cringy to them, I think that would also be very helpful.
And again, the comment was about joining the UCP. So let's kind of bring it back here and say a lot of people were scared to sign the petition because they didn't want to have their bank accounts canceled. They don't want to be identified as being somebody that supports independence, but they say they'll vote on October 19th. What we need now is for people to join the UCP. And that's not a threat. It doesn't say I'm part of the independence movement if you join the UCP. So if you are a conservative in Alberta and you were scared to sign the petition or anything like that, if you join the UCP, this is your opportunity to silently help the independence movement. Because if a lot of people don't know, the UCP is the Conservative Party inside of Alberta.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dara Robinson, hello, says, hi, Nat and Guy, hit the like button. And yes, it really does help us out. It helps the stream reach a broader audience. And we always try to get to 100 likes per stream.
Oh, and I think we're like 5 or 6 subscribers away from hitting 2,800 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please do so and help us get to that 2,800. It would be a huge help.
And thank you to everybody that has subscribed already.
Yeah.
Justin GP says, yes, a neutral message is important. Our common goal is a yes vote.
Yeah.
I would even say just have a shirt that says yes. but once we know what question is going on the ballot, because then if they decide to reword it or change it or use Kazakhs, then you want a no shirt, not a yes shirt. So let's wait on that one a little bit. But Jess also says, and I definitely love that shirt, but they need to make it a darker color for us here in Alberta because we're always working and white isn't the best. I do love to see when like white shirts or light color shirts are stained because it means that you've been working and it means that you're actually doing things. But yes, that is a good note, I guess, to give to Alberta, Rise of Alberta. And Teresa also says, lol, yes, white is a bad color. Especially for you, because you're not very good at keeping things clean.
And again, we need to not only pitch conservatives inside of Alberta, we need to try to pitch conservatives on a national level. A lot of these, especially content creators, but even not content creators, have aligned themselves so heavily with the National Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre. They're not willing to get behind Alberta independence, even though it holds the majority of the same first principles, and it can enact change when the National Conservative Party can't, and it can enact it in a fast manner. If we can make the appeal to national conservatives and national conservatives get behind Alberta independence, whether it's content creators or just starting conversations in their households, this is going to have a huge help, and it's going to put the federal government on its back foot. Especially, and the Fringe was talking about this the other day, if they do get rid of Pierre Poilievre before this election, I do think it's going to push a lot of conservatives inside Alberta to the voting space. But I think it's going to have a bigger effect on national conservatives across the country saying it's time to leave. Well, let's go to Alberta first and vote for independence. So I think it could have a big impact.
And thank you so much to JP Alberta First for the $5 super chat saying the youth in our universities are overwhelmingly left. Yes, but there are those silent ones that might not agree with everything. I know because I was one of them, that just haven't been given the opportunity to explore the other ideas or the other side, I guess, to say it. But I think it would even be, and it sounds insane, but it might even be possible to appeal to those overwhelmingly left students as well.
Hold on. Let's not say it's insane because it's not insane at all. We just need to think about this for a second. I don't care how far left they are. That's probably the easiest audience to appeal to because we've seen a lot of these job fairs, which are university students that are now looking for jobs. And it's a lineup down the freaking block. They can't even get into the building. We've done a couple articles about this already. We need to be appealing to those youth, and we need to appeal to them on an economic level, saying, what does the future with inside Canada look like? Does it look like a job fair for the rest of your life that you're never getting into? Are you going to live with your parents forever? Do you want an actual future? Do you want a home? Because a free and independent Alberta is offering that not just to the oil and gas sector. It's offering it to every sector. There's going to be manufacturing. There's going to be a self-sufficient nation that's going to be internalized. And there's going to be so many jobs that it's going to be easy for the youth to plan their future.
And I mean, that might work for the not hyper woke, insane lefty ones, but the ones that are just leaning left. But I do also think we might have to workshop it a lot more because I'm not even sure how I would frame it yet. And I've been thinking about it. But
Hold
Even
on.
to the more communist-minded, socialist-minded, very left university students, they currently don't like the capitalist system, for example, or there might be a message in there somewhere. They don't like the elites. They don't like the government either, even though they pretend like they do, because they want the government to go even further left. So I think there's a way. It's just about thinking and being very strategic with how you position it.
Okay, and it's not that my argument's just going to work with some people. The reason I have that argument and the way I've thought about it a lot is because I've looked at interviews with lefties from these job fairs through the clips, and they're all saying, I can't get a job. I can't even get into the job fair, this and that. So economically, they're well aware that they might not vote conservative, but they'll vote for independence if they think it will give them an actual future and a foothold on something.
Some of them, I'll say. Primers 007 says, I would like it in blue. And as a side note, I am going into a taco coma. You do that all the time.
Yeah.
But now let's go, speaking of, into Alberta politics.
Yeah.
He doesn't discuss federal politics. He only concerns himself with Alberta's independence.
And starting with Daniel Smith saying, quote, Alberta is one of the most secure, safe, and reliable energy partners in the world, but we cannot let any more opportunities pass us by. It's time to get to work and build new pipelines east, west, north, and south to supply American, European, and Asian markets with the energy they want and need. That's a lovely sentiment that cannot be done with Mark Carney breathing down your throat.
Yeah, and even if they throw economic deals at Alberta at the end because they think they're losing in the polling, there's so many cultural issues that we need to be aware of. I think that's how they're going to try to appeal to the non-politically engaged. There's going to be so many strings attached with all these pipelines. It's not going to benefit Albertans in the way it should. It's not going to build the infrastructure for Alberta. It's going to build the infrastructure for the rest of Canada. We need to really benefit our own citizens here, and it might be a little selfish to say, but we need an independent Alberta for the future children and grandchildren of the people that live in Alberta.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And she's doing her best to build a safety net, but we need to look at Danielle Smith because she's looking at the exact same polling that we are. And she's saying, I need to fix this, 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 and this. And that's exactly what she's doing, but she's only able to fix it about this much. But it sends a message to the people, well, I'm fixing what's going on here. But you have Mark Carney over here literally disassembling things by this much. Mm-hmm. The messaging needs to be, Danielle Smith, yeah, she's doing a great job at this, this, and this, but what we want to do is make a permanent fix and go much further. And we don't want to have a federal government working against us, constantly undoing everything that we are trying to do.
Exactly. But also, speaking again of that thing that collapsed within 24 hours, is the whole Russia thing. Mario Zelaya says, quote, wow, yesterday CTV and CBC ran wall-to-wall coverage claiming Russia and the U.S. were interfering in the Alberta separatist movement. Today, the Globe and Mail reported the RCMP deputy commissioner told Alberta's public safety minister, there is no credible evidence of foreign interference in the Alberta separatist movement. Zero, none. The RCMP's own words. The study the CTV and CBC cited, produced by Disinfo Watch and academic researchers, always very trustworthy.
Well,
not CSIS, not the RCMP.
And there's currently a document being signed by academia inside of Alberta saying there needs to be investigations into Stay Free Alberta, Centurion Project, and things like this. Academia is completely against us. So if the research project came out from them, they're completely biased at this point. This isn't making big headlines that the RCMP came out and said there was nothing there. That being said, yeah, every major outlet ran this story as an actual fact. As an actual video piece, as an actual fact. They put articles, they put posts on X, Facebook. I mean, this was a full-on assault, but it was there and then gone in less than 24 hours or 48 hours.
And again, we already know how this works. Once it comes out that whatever they're trying to peddle, whatever propagandist narrative they're trying to push out there is not true, the correction usually does come when it comes, or if and when it comes, and it never gets the same coverage and it never reaches those people that did believe the lies.
Well, we got
we have to continue to talk about it.
We have 3 articles in a row about this, so let's keep it going and we'll keep talking about it.
Let me just finish reading this.
Okay.
Not any law enforcement agency. This is the same CTV that called my verified content deception decoded. The same CTV taking millions in government subsidies, a study nobody can verify, cited as fact to discredit 301,000 more Albertans who signed a petition. This is why people lose trust in mainstream media. CBC and CTV cut from the same cloth. And again, they're trying to hide as much as they can the little correction that they had to issue.
And read the headline at the top.
RCMP found no evidence of foreign interference in Alberta separatist movement, minister says.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about if they, never mind. I was thinking, are they maybe really related it to the Kazakh's question?
Oh. Rise of Alberta also says, quote, the BBC is now engaging in foreign interference in Alberta's independence debate. A foreign media outlet is pushing...
Okay, well, hold on. They're engaging in foreign interference in Alberta's independence debate. Well, Lukaszik's half of that debate. Maybe money's coming into him in ways that we don't know. That being said, I don't want to discredit his question because that may be our only in at the end of the day.
But again, a foreign media outlet is pushing unverified claims to smear a grassroots Alberta movement and shape public opinion inside Alberta because the BBC News World said foreign actors like Russia interfering in Alberta separatist debate, new report says. And again, the correction, if issued, went probably unseen by most of the people that initially read this.
Well, and again, this is the BBC. This is world news. They're activating their international media sources to go after Alberta and attack Alberta. That's why we have to start a national conversation and make people in the United States, in Europe, in the UK, that is aware of what is happening in Alberta, how we want our freedoms. There are right-wing mainstream media organizations that will report not only honestly, but in favor of Alberta independence if we can get a national conversation started. Once we have a national conversation started, and if it gets loud enough, the U.S. is going to pick up on that. There has been a lot of talk about balkanization in the U.S. from Tim Pool. This fits right into that kind of conversation. So it would be very easy within social media spaces to start an international conversation so we don't get a one-sided thrashing from international left-wing media.
Exactly. But also from the Critical Compass, and I love how they put this side by side, saying what a difference 12 hours make, because Global News initially said U.S. and Russia adversaries meddling in Alberta separatist debate, study warns. But then again, from the Globe and Mail came out 24 hours later saying RCMP found no evidence of foreign interference in Alberta separatist movement, minister says. But again, that correction, very few people see it, unfortunately.
Well, and hold on, leave it there. And of course, the Globe and News in their article used the Alberta American flag, trying to invoke the 51st state, which that nobody inside Alberta independence wants. We want to be our own independent nation. And that's what we're kind of going to the ballot box for.
And again, it is the way that they are able to frame it, even without having to say much. And it's about countering that narrative as well. But Ryan Gertison also says the press corps asks Alberta MP Eleanor Oleski, I'm guessing, if she is worried there aren't enough Canadian nationalist voices speaking up in the face of Alberta separatism. She is not worried, apparently.
Well, pause it. And again, Kenny was putting this message out there. He's putting the call. He needs backup because he's losing and he's losing bad. I think he realizes the polling is going to shift once that question gets on that ballot, and he's calling for backup now, and nobody's coming to the call because there are no good talking points, and they're going to look like fools trying to pitch it.
Yeah, they only know how to do it through force.
Are you worried that there's not enough Canadian nationalist voices speaking up in the face of Alberta separatism?
I'm sorry?
Are you concerned that there aren't enough nationalist pro-Canadian voices speaking up in the face of Alberta separatism?
Well, with respect to separatism, as you know, I am from Alberta, and to me, there are lots of voices stepping up to speak with respect to separatism, and certainly, from my perspective, I believe that most Albertans do understand, and certainly people in my writing, people I've had discussions with, care about our province, but they care about our country as well, and they want our province to remain in Canada, and that's all I have to say.
The Prime Minister yesterday talked about, 2 days ago, talked about the Clarity Act. He said that, if there's a referendum in Alberta, the Clarity Act needs to be respected. What, in your opinion, is a clear majority in a referendum? Like, what percentage of vote would make a yes for your government?
Just with respect to that question, I would defer to our legal counsel. And
you don't have an opinion on that?
I would defer to our legal counsel with respect to what a proper opinion is.
But it's a government decision. It's a parliamentary decision.
I'm sorry.
They're freaked out.
I don't know my own opinions.
This is sparking a national conversation, and this is why I'm reaching out to politicians outside of Alberta now. The two that we've already reached out to was Dallas Brody and Maxime Bernier, but they're from outside of Alberta. We need to have groups of politicians outside of Alberta, and they might be few and far between, but they exist. And if they come out with statements either supporting a vote on October 19th or outright in supporting Alberta independence, that can counteract the messaging coming from federal politicians. They're trying to put together a coalition of federal politicians to attack this thing vocally.
And it's not fully working yet.
Well, it's not working yet, but we're already starting. We're one channel with 2,700 subscribers. We've already found two politicians that either support the referendum October 19th or outright support independence. I know there's more. We're going to continue to reach out. We're trying to fight this not just inside Alberta, but on a national level as well.
And eventually international as well. Troglodyte says 51 intelligence officers say total boo cheat. That's how I had to read it. 300 mile per hour martyr says the mainstream media preys on weak minds, and boy howdy, Canada has a huge surplus of weak minds.
Well, and let's just think about something here. They're trying to push Pierre Poilievre out right now for a Jason Kenney or a Doug Ford. If they manage to push him out and he needs a safe riding, is he going to come back to Alberta? If he does, he's going to have to change his messaging. And his messaging, again, is going to have to be, we need democracy on October 19th. That should have always been his messaging. So he could hold together the coalition of independents and national conservatives that want to stay in Canada. He chose to go to the national side. But if they kick him out, he might have an axe to grind. And maybe he says democracy needs to rule the day on October 19th.
True. Justin GP says, Primoris, you're stealing one of my taco mas. Lol. Who remembers those ads? Because again, funnily enough, I only know those ads through like YouTube and people that talk about them, the Taco Bell ads I'm talking about, and the Chihuahua, because here in Mexico, of course, we do not have or never had, well, they tried to bring in Taco Bell to a few cities. Of course, it did not work because, sorry to disappoint, but those are not real tacos. Those are American, that's American Mexican food, and it's very different. Justin GP says, and it's nice to see a national dude, Mario, bringing light to the movement. And we had been calling on a lot of other more national conservative content creators to talk about it. And it is good, exactly. And thank you for highlighting it, because I think it almost blew past us that Mario for the North was talking about Alberta and the fact that they were lying about the whole Russia thing.
And
I'm sure you want to talk about it.
Let's talk about this for a minute, because I've been making the plea to national politicians and asking them if they support independence. And I've also made the call to national conservative content creators, and they all firmly didn't want to talk about it. They all firmly don't want to make videos about it. But as we talk about it more and more politicians come out in support of it. I mean, a large majority of content creators, especially conservative content creators, are based in British Columbia, without Dallas Brody coming out saying she thinks it's a good thing to have the October 19th referendum in Alberta. That gives a lot of breathing room for content creators within BC to come around and start supporting it. I've seen Mario Zelaya, who's from BC, now talking about Alberta independence a lot, giving a lot of news updates, which helps bring around national conservatives because he has a national conservative audience. Again, Mark Nixon from BC, Burnaby, BC, he's coming around talking a lot about Alberta independence. They're not directly supporting it, but they're reporting on it a lot, which helps. And they're reporting on it not from a negative point of view, actually a somewhat positive point of view, which helps bring around national conservatives, which gives us a lot of breathing room and it helps to push the national government on their back foot.
James Halliday says, hey all, hello, thank you for being here. Troglodyte says, Albertans want to subsidize our incompetence independently. LOL. That would be a funny shirt.
Well, then also, oh God, what's the blonde girl's name again? I don't know why I'm forgetting her.
Blonde girl.
She's from British Columbia as well. She worked with Clyde Do Something a little bit. We profile her all the time.
Jasmine Lane?
Yeah, Jasmine Lane. Jasmine Lane's been reporting on Alberta independence a lot. She has a huge audience. So they're all trending in the right direction. They may even get behind Alberta independence in the end, especially if when they start reporting on Alberta independence, if the national conservative audience starts to have a shift because it's getting into their news cycles, those content creators are going to come right out and get behind Alberta independence, which will have the effect of having national conservatives get behind it. And that's the major shift I'm hoping to have at some point.
Yeah. Della Robinson says to JP Alberta First, you're absolutely right, but I don't blame the students. I blame the professors and teachers. They failed them and all Albertans. And I would put in the blame category a little bit as well, I guess, all the rest of Albertans. Have those conversations with the youth, bring new ideas to their minds. That is kind of what helped me break out of my insane streak and my insanity when I lived in Vancouver initially. And by being able to question one thing, it allowed me to open up the door to a bunch of other things I started questioning in the way I was thinking. And that was it's planting those seeds, as you always say. Plant that seed, not maybe about independence itself, but about maybe the things they think are absolute truths that they know, but maybe they don't know, or the things that they continue to support just blindly because they think that's the right thing to do. And have those interesting conversations first, and then from there you can stem into them actually changing their minds.
Well, we've seen in the United States former Democrats that had seeds planted that came around and actually became conservatives later on because the seeds were planted. They become some of the most vocal on social media because they were disgusted at the lies they were told for so long.
Exactly.
And a lot of those people became the most influential content creators that we now see in the United States. Same thing can happen inside of Alberta.
And because they're able to communicate why they used to believe that, and then what changed their minds. And that's what very important too.
Well, and they can communicate effectively with people in cities.
Yes, because they used to be one of them. At least I used to be. Troglodyte says indefinitely. And James Halliday says, Alberta strong and free. Let's go, all caps. Let's go, Alberta. It's time before we can't leave. I guess communist Carney is evil. Yes, he is. Lori Pollock, hello, says Jason Kenny is a snake. A fat one, but yeah. One that just ate. Justin GP says, isn't every restaurant in Mexico a Taco Bell essentially? Lol. Do you want to speak on that?
Well, I think you have a misconception of Taco Bell there, Nat. I heard you talking about it when I went to the restroom.
The Mexican-American food? The non-Mexican food?
I don't think you know the history of Taco Bell.
I do.
The original Taco Bell is from where?
Arizona? No.
California.
California.
I used to live in California. It's actual Mexicans that owned it.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was the kids of Mexicans, and actually
No, they
white
op-
dude
they
started.
opened- they
A
opened-
white dude started the chain.
No, he started. No, he did not.
I know the whole history. We're not.
Okay, no,
debating
hold
this.
on. Wait one moment.
We're having an important conversation.
The
on
original
Alberta
Taco
independence.
Bell was started from across the street from a white guy that actually stole the menu from the actual the actual first Taco Bell.
But it wasn't called Taco Bell. It was
Okay,
called
I'll show you the
Maria
documentary
something.
after. and
I've
then-
seen it.
No, okay. You think you
No,
know so much.
but you've now been to a lot of Mexican restaurants, and they're not. It's very different food. Like if you come to Mexico expecting food that's similar to TacoEll, you'll be sorely disappointed.
And I'll say this: I like Mexican food, but I like Mexican American food still.
he's used to it.
Because I had that palate when I was younger.
California.
But I also like a lot of guacamole. I like a lot of cheese on everything.
Yeah,
and
we don't do that much
Yeah.
here. Again, if you'd ever have come to Mexico or do come to Mexico, and you're all invited, and mi casa es su casa, my house is your house, and do come visit eventually, you'll be, I think, surprised by the fact that Mexican restaurants are very different within Mexico, and it's very different food. Some of it gross like bugs, I guess, for the non-accustomed palate. James Halliday says, we fired him for a reason. Exactly, Kenny. Lori Pollock says, Alberta doesn't want or need Kenny, and yet he wants to plant his stake. And I mean, again, it's good he's doing the debates, and it's good he's losing them.
He's the number one person they're looking to replace Poilievre with. If that happens, I mean, it's going to make an easy in for Danielle Smith at some point because there's going to be a huge backlash from everybody across Canada. And she's the one holding the coalition of independents and national conservatives together.
James Halliday says, Jasmine is in Manitoba, Jasmine Lane.
Oh, she is?
So correction for you.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'll look into it.
I'll look into it as well. I thought she was from stationed out of Vancouver, but maybe I'm wrong.
Troglodyte says, fight in the Taco Bell. Lol. And let me read stuff from our UMBLE because I've been, now I've seen they popped up. KP4U says, I thought the RCMP already announced that there was no foreign interference. Russia. Lol. Yeah, they just did.
They did. And that story's not getting out there. And the international media is definitely not seeing it. So they're just going to keep reporting on the lies. And that's why we need an international voice as well.
And Rusty has a good point here as well, saying after the out of context Reagan ad that Doug Ford put out, they have no business talking about foreign interference.
Well, let's talk about that. A lot of people are blaming Trump for canceling the USMCA because of that ad. But actually, he came out the next day and said he would have ran the same ad. And then the day after that, he canceled that and used that as the excuse. What happened in that in-between day is Ford Stellantis came into his office and said Canada was putting tariffs on American autos and different parts that were coming back across the border into Canada. And that's the real reason the trade talks got canceled. A lot of people just don't know that. I didn't know that. I was researching it the other day.
Cool. Kind of blanked there for a second. I wasn't listening to you.
It's all air up there.
Thanks. KP for you says, Guy, blonde girl, Nat, blonde girl? Yeah, because you said blonde girl. I was like, blonde. She's not that blonde, is she?
Yeah, she's pretty blonde.
I would call that more like
You can go
light
to her-
brown.
You can go to her profile picture right now go to the X. Just type up
We're not
Jasmine
going to
Lane.
fight on this too.
Yeah, I want to fight about it.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it up on
And
screen
she's
for the
great. Like, if
people.
you don't follow her, follow her.
Yeah, she's
and I do
absolutely
hope she starts
fantastic.
speaking more about Alberta independence.
It's going to be forced into the national conversation. And right now, content creators that are speaking nationally are trending in the right direction towards Alberta independence.
I guess she is. Okay.
Oh, no, bring up the picture so everybody knows I'm
I
right.
guess she is kind of blonde now.
Kind of.
She is blonde.
It
She's
doesn't get
blonde now,
blonder than that.
Okay, well, it does. But okay, fine. For some reason, I was thinking of her when she was doing her shorts, and maybe it's the light. Her hair just looks a bit browner. I'm sorry.
Maybe you're just wrong.
Yes, I said I'm wrong.
I know, but I just want to repeat that so the audience hears. That's not always right.
But almost always. And KPW says to Rusty Wiener, 100% they accept the foreign interference when they're doing it, then always project what they're doing onto their rivals. It's that backwards speak they do, good one. And it's that same thing that the once great, I will say, Robert Barnes used to say, confession to projection.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to the
Alberta Personalities?
YouTube ones.
Well, let's go to Alberta
The thing
Personalities.
is, the rest of the comments have to do with Taco Bell, so let's just get through those
No.
during this segment because...
Okay.
Justin GP says, I only meant that every single restaurant in Mexico probably sells tacos, don't they? No.
No, actually,
He's been surprised that there's not a non-Mexican restaurant.
well, it's very interesting because there's a lot of stands that are like family owned on the corners and stuff here. And I guess before you left, she was saying they used to all be almost all taco stands. Now I'd say a large portion of them are hamburgers of all things.
But
And they have specialty Mexican hamburgers, a lot of American style hamburgers. Hamburgers are having a huge surge here in Mexico. And there's a lot of burger restaurants as well.
But you've also been to quite a few, not super fancy Mexican restaurants, but like non-taco stands. And sometimes they don't have tacos, and you've been surprised because you're like, well, that's all he likes to eat.
And this is probably the number one place within North America for food and Michelin star restaurants as well. There's a huge food culture here.
Yeah, people are very...
Especially if you look online. This is the biggest city in North America. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. Paramars 007 says, Taco Bell is vomit-inducing. The thing is, I don't hate it, but I just don't consider it Mexican food. It's American food.
I used to like it.
Yeah, I have nothing wrong with Taco Bell or Chipotle for that matter, but
Chipotle was actually
I
really
see
good.
that's very different than what actual Mexican food is.
But I actually grew up very, very poor. So McDonald's and Taco Bell, especially during my age, was actually extremely cheap. And it is the only way to feed myself at some times.
Oh,
shut up. Read the comments, Nat.
Edward
Do your
said-
job. Do it live.
Well, you won't like this comment because then we're going to go off into a tangent. But Edward asks, can we get a Nat story? What kind of story? Ask me things and then I'll answer in a very long-winded way, which he hates. Justin GP says, tamales are my fave. Yes, I love tamales. I try to eat as many as I can usually. Mole tamales and green tamales are good too. And I like the sweet ones, but almost nobody likes them. Then you like tamales too.
I'm waiting for your story.
Well, they haven't asked me anything.
Okay.
James Halliday says, love Mexican food, real Mexican food. Yes, exactly. James Halliday says, chicken mole. If you have never tried mole, try it. It's my favorite Mexican dish. He doesn't like it that much.
No, you can't just try it because some people will try to make it from a package. It actually takes 4 to 5 days to cook this thing. So if
To make it.
Yeah, to make it. So if you go to a nice restaurant in Mexico, and nice restaurants are extremely cheap here actually.
Comparatively.
You can actually get real mole, which I was watching how they make it. It's extremely hard to make.
Yeah, it's all done on a... Wow, I forgot the
Well,
word.
let's continue.
I was going to start with my story, but fine. I'll do it at the end of the show. I'll do my stories at the end of the show. Hold on.
Let's go into Alberta Personalities.
One second, because the YouTube crashed. No, another Rumble crashed too. Hold on.
Oh, hopefully we can get it back, and hopefully we're not.
No, we don't go offline, but then I can't see comments and stuff, so I need to bring it back up before and make sure it's set up before we start. Okay, let's go into Alberta Personalities, which is pretty quick, so maybe I can get into my whole story after that.
But they need to understand that Albertans are done, we're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
And starting with Jeff Rath saying, quote, breaking the entire foreign no, I read this one. Hold on.
No. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
it was the Jeff Rath one.
Because I thought I'd brought it up.
Oh,
Let
my
me go
God.
back and find it.
Now you have to find it. Okay, I put Jeff Rath up there because I wanted to, again, just nail home this Russia collusion BS story they're bringing up. And Jeff Rath always has a way with words, especially when he's talking about issues like this.
See, it didn't take me that long. Jeff Rath says, quote, breaking the entire foreign interference narrative is falling apart in real time. Even the suggestion of Russian involvement reeks of the desperate flop sweat of Ukrainian agent Jason Kenney, realizing that Alberta leaving Canada means no more money for foreign money laundering schemes.
Well, we should really just start having a counter narrative of Ukrainian agents of Mark Carney and Jason Kenney here at this point. It's absolutely ridiculous the amount of money they're shipping overseas when that money could be used here at home on a dying country economically.
And literally, I would say also. But yeah, Jeff Rath, I do like it when he goes on the attack.
Jeff Rath is, a lot of people don't like him because he's kind of like an attack dog, and he'll attack people even inside Alberta independence. And I've always said we need to put our differences aside and have a tight line and not attack each other. That being said, Jeff Rath is a key asset at certain times when it comes to mainstream media. They don't even want to interview him anymore because he runs circles around them. Mm-hmm. And on X, sometimes he can be a big benefit as well. Okay, we can go into some more comments. Then we'll go into Alberta's Canada because Alberta is the only thing left holding Canada up. Once Alberta goes, Canada falls.
That's how I say it. That's what I say usually.
Well, I said I thought I heard this strange, nice
Canada.
comment one time.
Cindy Melnick says, apparently, according to Northern Perspective, Carney broke the law. No surprise. Broke the law. I mean, not surprised.
He's broken a lot of laws, but somebody else brought up Northern Perspective doing another in-depth investigation. I didn't have time to look at him last night.
Cindy Melnick says, it was Jolie that blew up the trade talks. Moose showed that.
Yeah.
Maybe that part. But continue. Sorry.
No, that's it. You can go to next comment.
Chocolate says, there's a meme about Taco Bell and it involves toilets. There's many memes about Taco Bell that involve toilets. But I mean, it is what it is. Just let it be.
Well, and I think it's gotten dramatically worse over the decades as well.
Yeah.
I was watching a special and it's like they put a tiny amount of meat and it's not even like real meat. It's a lot of filler as well.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm trying to bring something up.
Well, we can go to Alberta's Canada if you don't have any more comments.
No, Jesse Jippy says, I love the sweet tamales. When I worked in West Texas, you worked in West Texas, they had tamale trucks that specialized in only tamales. Here, there's, people in the street corners that only have tamales throughout the whole day, and there's stores, and there's fancy ones, and there's I like the street ones, but that's
the street ones are best, and they're extremely cheap. It feeds you for half the day, like 2 tamales is all you need to eat for the entire day. They're big, but if you go to the store, and buy them here,
they're this big.
They're tiny. So the family-owned ones give you the best, the most for your money.
And James Halliday says, because usually on tamales, usually the way it works is you have them for breakfast, but it's meant to. They work to sustain someone that's going to be working long hours and to keep that energy up because it is a lot of calories. And funnily enough, here in Mexico City, a lot of the rest of the country thinks we are gross, but we actually make a tamal sandwich. So you grab this bread that's called a bolillo or a telera, another type of bread.
It's a huge piece of bread.
You cut it in half and then you put tamales in the middle of it.
It's a huge piece of bread that you put.
A whole tamal or 2, yeah.
Okay, you can continue.
Inside of it. James Halliday says, I'm drooling for mole now. Dang, I have to come down. Always welcome. Always welcome. And David Bird says, Trudeau and Carney have black belts in Bushido. They went to the same school, probably. The same training school. And hold on. Keep It For You says to Rusty Weiner exactly how they think and say we're not
Weiner.
Like them. Oh, sorry.
Rusty
yes,
Weiner.
I usually just say
He
Rusty.
tells you every time.
I usually just try to say Rusty. Says Rusty exactly how they think and say we not like them. No. Okay, let's go into, what was it? Alberta's Canada. Then you already said it, so I'm going to say it again.
I'm angry of Had enough of these people.
And, oh, hold on. Starting with Bob Zimmer saying, quote, Kerry Price loves Canada, loves to hunt, and he's a law-abiding firearm owner. He doesn't like Mark Carney's gun confiscation program.
Yeah, and this was actually a great clip.
Hold on.
Kerry, do you still hunt?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big part of my life, especially now that I have free fall.
What does hunting mean to you, your family, and your heritage?
Definitely a generational activity. My grandfather was a guide in our area growing up, and sustenance hunting has been a part of our community for generations. So it's a big part of my life and what I look forward to every fall, and it's something that I definitely wish to pass on to my children. The understanding of the seasonal round.
And you can pause it. We'll continue to play it. But I put this clip in here because I wish we could say we need an independent Alberta so we can protect firearm rights. But we're quickly losing all firearm rights, and the level of freedom we have when it comes to firearms is already severely restricted in Canada. We need to set a whole new paradigm when we do get independence for self-defense and a lot of other purposes that are just almost outlawed in Canada at this point.
The nature and the outdoors that I love so much.
You've been very outspoken against the government's gun confiscation program, and it potentially infringes on Indigenous rights as well. Just make a comment, I guess, on what your feelings are about the current government's, Mark Carney's gun confiscation program.
I don't think it's fair to a lot of people. I think, as myself, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I care for my country. I care for my neighbors. And I think that we should all have the ability and the right to be able to protect our families, our homes, our loved ones, and not have that.
And it's not even that it's not fair, the gun grab. It hasn't been fair, and we've been trending in the wrong direction when it comes to firearm rights and firearm ownership as well.
And also self-defense rights,
Yeah.
I would say. I would lump in there as well. And from
this is I bring these national Canada stories up that are often very negative, but it's so that people see if we go in this direction and we hitch our wagon to Canada, we're going to go off the cliff with them. We're going to be living in an authoritarian police state, a nanny state. If we go in this direction with freedom and independence, we're going to be wealthy and the future looks bright and we can get our freedoms back.
But also the thing is, within Canada, you're already seeing it. It's not just the breadcrumbs. The actual steps have already been laid out. And you're already halfway, at least, into that socialist communist hellhole future that you're trying to escape. But from CTV News says, Pierre Poilievre said to speak at Conservative conference in Ottawa.
Yeah, and he's trying to hold the coalition together. I don't know if he even has anymore. And it's a shame. When he ran the last election, that was the time for him to take off the gloves. Like when he went to international media, by the time he did, it was too late. It almost looked like controlled opposition. That being said, I like a lot of his first principles. A lot of his first principles are Alberta independence first principles. The problem with Poilievre is he can't enact change anymore for about 3 years until another federal election. And by the time that happens, I think power is going to be consolidated within committees, within censorship bills, and a lot of other things. I don't know if he's actually going to have a chance. Alberta independence can enact change now. It can enact change at a level national conservatives wouldn't be able to dream of. He does carry water for us, so I prefer to see him in there than a Jason Kenney or a Doug Ford, meaning he does at least point out the direction Canada is going under a Mark Carney, which helps us, I believe, overall.
Exactly. But
I will say one other thing. The Fringe did point out if they can get Poilievre out there and they replace him with a Jason Kenney or a Doug Ford, that may push a ton of voters within Alberta that are conservatives to the polls to vote for independence. So I actually didn't really think about that, and I thought that was a good point brought up by him.
Igor Riltsev also says...
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
It's fine. Igor Riltsev says BC also wants independence like Alberta, Western Alliance, a vision for independence from Ottawa.
Well, and I think he's being sarcastic here because this girl just looks and sounds like a politician. It looks like she's reading off a freaking teleprompter. It looks like she's literally trying to put on the skin suit of Dallas Brody here. She's too fat to fit into it, though.
Now I'm interested.
Wow, looks like BC also wants to join Alberta independence as Western Alliance. Check this out. For too long, Ottawa has treated the West like an afterthought. We've been overtaxed, overregulated, lectured, underrepresented, and ignored.
Oh, that's
She's running right now
Yes.
for the BC Conservatives. Yes.
what's his name?
And-
Ellie Cantin-Nantel interviewed her, and
Yeah.
we played a bit of that.
Well,
as
and they have all this hope. And when you watch the conservative debates, what happened there was they all said no land acknowledgements. We're absolutely against it. And then the next debate they had, they all did the land acknowledgement.
British
Absolutely ridiculous. They all look like they're trying to put the skin suit on of Dallas Brody, and it's not authentic. It doesn't come off as authentic.
After they pushed her out again to just underline that fact.
Well, and we're going to just watch this whole thing through because you really get this sense of how inauthentic she is. She's saying the right words, but she's almost like a lizard person here.
Colombians have been left behind by governments that use our resources as a piggy bank and our voices as an inconvenience. That ends now. A Finley government will rebuild our economy, reinvigorate our historic resources of forestry, mining, agriculture, and fisheries, and seek to forge a strong Western alliance with Alberta and Saskatchewan. That alliance will be built on 5 pillars. We will work together to build new pipelines, refineries, and processing plants. We will champion an upgrade of the Trans-Canada Highway from Regina to Vancouver to freeway standards suitable for a G7 country. This would include upgrading the Trans-Canada on Vancouver Island, too, with additional lanes for that stretch from Langford to Victoria. We could work together with CN and CP to double rail capacity and double port capacity, building a Western powerhouse that is Western-led and Western-funded. My grand vision is that we will fight for fair representation together. 3 provinces speaking as one cannot be denied. Repealing DRIPA is essential, but it's not the whole story or the whole solution. The UN does not govern our sovereign province except through our consent. What you permit, you promote. Rolling back years of legislative concessions is also imperative. Section 43 of our Constitution has the potential to provide crucial certainty on private property rights for homeowners, farmers, business investors, and resource developers. The United Nations and Central Canada will no longer dictate what happens to our land and hand over co-governance to the unelected. We will repeal the HPOA and the changes to the Legal Professions Act, scrap no-fault ICBC, remove SOGI from our teachers' resources, and rehire health professionals fired over COVID mandates.
Do you think it's a good idea? Leave a comment down below.
Yeah, all that stuff sounds absolutely fantastic. I just don't believe it coming from the conservatives' mouths anymore. They're going to say it to get the vote, and they might be able to implement 1 or 2 things. And the authenticity is no longer there because for so long within British Columbia and Western Canada, they've gone along with the land acknowledgements. They voted a lot of this stuff in, and now they're just trying to pander to voters to get the vote. Somebody like Dallas Brody is true and authentic. When we interviewed her, the interview is going to get censored a lot because she brought up a lot of words you're not supposed to say online, but that's what gives her an authenticity that girl just does not have. She's reading off a freaking teleprompter. There were so many cuts in there. It did not seem authentic to me, and I'm sorry. I know a lot of conservatives within BC are seeing her as the hope and the light. I see that as a conservative that's just going to liberalize herself over time once she gets into power.
But also, number one, who on earth edited that? I wouldn't put it past that it was herself. It was very dizzying and very disconcerting. But number two, they literally pushed Dallas Brody out because of her opinion, partly because of her opinion on First Nations and on the SOGI issue, on the sexual orientation and gender identity issue. And now she's trying to say they want to run on that and they want to talk about that now.
They're literally taking Brody's platform and pitching it as if that is their own. They pushed her out of the Conservative Party, and now they want to steal her platform. And they're only stealing her platform for the election season. As soon as it's over, they're going to probably start implementing their own platform, which is more land acknowledgements, giving more land away. They have a bad track record at all this. And you have to remember, it's just not one person you're voting for in BC. It's all the Conservatives that are going to work work together, that have been voting for this for a long time. I'm sorry to be hard on these conservatives in BC and in Western Canada. They need to grow a freaking backbone at this point, and people need to wake up and start voting for politicians that have a real spine, are authentic, and aren't reading off a freaking teleprompter and just telling you what you want to hear.
And zooming in too much on their faces.
Well, I don't know if she's responsible for that editing, so I don't want to give her a hard time on that. But
no, but whoever decided to release it.
Well, no, it could have been done after, is what I'm saying. So,
okay. But still. From Eyes of Alberta, quote, Canada's economic model is producing some of the worst outcomes in the G7, while Alberta continues to produce the wealth, energy, and opportunity Ottawa depends on. It's time for Alberta to choose independence.
The entire country of Canada is quoting Alberta's economic
success.
Output and trying to claim it as their own. Canada's failing. Alberta's succeeding. It's time for independence, and it's time for every single Alberta citizen to become wealthy and become free, become part of a citizen of a free and independent nation, not somebody that has to be part of this communist nation, or at least that's the direction Carney's driving in. Sorry, I'm losing my words a little bit now.
You might need a coffee. I do see you.
Yeah, I'm
lagging behind a little bit.
I'm going to grab a coffee real quick. You continue on, though.
Yes. Well, we're done with that segment, so I can go on to comments. Beulah Hewler says, watching from Alberta, tuning in late. Thank you for being here. And Lori Pollock says, Carney bought a quarter section of land, Carney bought a quarter section of land just north of Leslieville. He said he wants to vote for in the referendum. Interesting. Again, wouldn't put it past him. Charlotte says self-defense is a human right. It should be. Yep. Yes. But I mean, and it's just common sense. It's a biological right too, I would say. It's ingrained within us to want to protect ourselves on our own. And for the longest time, we have been lulled into reliance on a government or on others to be able to protect us. But I do believe that it is ingrained within us to want to protect us and those we care for. Lori Pollock says, Carey Price is Indigenous. Thank you for letting us know. Troglodyte says, if she was a real conservative, she would have left with Dallas. Scammer. Exactly. And to not push Dallas out just so they can then take the exact same platform and then run on it because they saw that it was actually popular. Harmony Balance hello, says, the guy, you are very insightful and psychoanalytic man. I'm glad to stand your ground. Thank you.
Just thinks I'm a psycho.
Yeah, he's just a psycho. If you only knew him. Harmony says, I don't trust this woman. Yeah, I don't either. Fake and phony and false. And I guess that editing, again, if she did it or not, it did not help in the end. Justin TP says, is she the female version of Carney, stealing platforms? In that sense, probably yes. Harmony says, many conservatives are like her in Canada as well. Exactly. And people have to wake up as well. Harmony says, I saw many conservatives like her. And then I don't know if I missed a comment or not, but if I did and it didn't show up, I'm sorry. And then on RUMBLE, KPPU says, I don't care what anyone says. Jeff Rath would be a kick-ass leader for Alberta. I have to agree, Keith would probably be better, but Jeff would be like an Albertan Trump, LOL. I like how he communicates. And also says, shout out to Rise of Alberta. I'm on his Facebook every day. So shout out to Rise of Alberta from here too.
Well, what do people think if Alberta gets its independence and Danielle Smith lets October 19th go forward, and then she's the one to negotiate the separation? If she went up against Keith Wilson, Keith would win even with that resume that she would have at that point. But I think if she went up against the Jeff Rath, I think Danielle Smith would win. It would be interesting if she went up against like a Mitch Sylvester. It would be a coin toss at that point. But what do you think about Danielle Smith's chances against Keith Wilson, a Mitch Sylvester, or a Jeff Rath?
That'd be an interesting question.
If she did those two things, meaning put the question on the October 19th ballot, number one, and then she was the one responsible for the negotiated split, because that would put her in a very strong position, I think.
Interesting. Let us know in the comments while we go into Alberta and the world, and then I'll read all your comments about those propositions the guy just made.
And I have my coffee now.
Yes. And starting with from CTV Power Play saying, quote, Parliamentary Secretary to the Industry Minister.
This guy just looks like the guy
I hadn't seen him.
Kramer with glasses here and weird glasses as well.
says Honda has not confirmed a report that the automaking giant is permanently suspending plans to build a $15 billion EV plant in Ontario. They're communicating to us that they're going to be in touch soon publicly with their medium and long-term plans. That is what someone says to you when they don't want to go on a date with you anymore.
Well, and he just seems extremely awkward here as we watch this.
Yeah.
Has Honda communicated to you, your office, the minister, that this plant is dead?
So Honda has not confirmed this report. The minister and officials were in touch with Honda today. And what's happening is they're communicating to us that they're going to be in touch soon publicly with their medium and long-term plans.
And did that discussion at all involve sort of like any kind of indication one way or the other of why this information was surfacing? Like, did they indicate to you that is under the realm of consideration?
I think they'll have to wait for Honda to share their plans publicly. In the meantime, I can tell you that the plant in Alliston there is very strong. It's at full capacity, over 4,000 employees, and our auto strategy is.
And this was leaked by the Chihuahua, the little guy I always call the Chihuahua Champagne. It wasn't leaked by Honda. That's why they're saying, oh, Honda hasn't said anything. Philippe Champagne said something.
Anticipated for this kind of eventuality where we know that the global auto shock, the global trading shocks created by the Trump administration's unjustified tariffs are reverberating. And we've got a lot of initiatives.
And he's trying to blame it on Trump's tariffs. No, Trump said no to EVs. He said, we're going to go gas powered, and that's hurting all this investment they did. Even if Trump took off the tariffs, the EV industry is dying in the United States. Therefore, it was a bad investment for Canada all along. I had said that all the way across. And it was especially bad for Canada because EVs don't work well in cold weather, period.
It's underway to help deal with it.
So with respect, Mr. Bardizzi, did your auto strategy actually prepare for this eventuality? I would put to you that there's a lot of evidence that EVs are no longer, or should no longer be, the quote-unquote, as Minister Champagne said today, North Star of that strategy. It's not just this potential news out of Honda. You have Stellantis and Windsor with Nexstar. GM and its mining partner Vail paused the second phase of their cathode factory project in Quebec, ended production of Bright Drop in Ingersoll. Ford delayed plans to build electric vehicles in Oakville in favor of.
And I know she's mainstream media, but once in a great while, that girl does shine and she'll ask a tough question. And that's why of all the mainstream media people, I like watching her because sometimes she'll take a conservative point of view and you actually use statistics. A lot of the time she's just a microphone for the left as well. So
of the F-Series gas-powered pickup trucks, like what more evidence do you need that, deciding to center your strategy on EVs is no longer the right decision?
We know in a couple of ways. We know because the Nexstar plant in Windsor has just produced its millionth battery cell. We know that the PowerCo plant in St. Thomas is broken ground. We know that Canadians have an appetite for these EVs, as does the world. In Europe, in February, they had the first month, where their electric vehicle sales actually exceeded internal combustion engine sales. So we know the broad direction is going towards EVs.
And the reason why is number one, billions of dollars worth of subsidies. Number two, massive amounts of regulations saying they're phasing out gas-powered vehicles. In a lot of countries, you can't drive a gas-powered vehicle every single day. The only vehicles you're allowed to drive 7 days a week are actually EVs. They're forcing EVs down people's throats. The reason the sales are up is because of forced sales through regulation and subsidies. You take those away and put them in a fair capitalistic market head to head with gas vehicles. Gas vehicles are winning every time. Sometimes in cities, people will prefer EVs, but they're not reliable and they can't go long distances. And there's not the infrastructure built in most of these countries.
And yeah, there are going to be some bumps along the way. We also know that consumer incentives are a very much important part of that in a lot of places. And that's one of the reasons we've brought back consumer incentives.
And just an awkward guy trying to pitch EVs when they're dying, especially in North America. In some markets, yeah, they work better in other markets than some, but.
I was going to say something and now I forgot.
Well, you forget a lot.
It's fine.
I heard you call me a psycho when I was making my coffee.
You are. Neil Fleury says, quote, as an Albertan for almost 40 years, there is no way in hell I want to be a part of this BS coming down from the down the pipe from the communists in Ottawa. This is the new world order stuff Carney talked about in front of Communist Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Also remember when Trudeau said he loved China's basic dictatorship. This agenda has been planned for a very long time. Carney's unelected majority government is hell-bent on turning Canada into China. The signs have been there for years. Alberta independence will save Canada from all this BS.
Well, and we need to get Theo Fleury, very well known with inside of Alberta, a famous hockey player. I'm sure he has a lot of connections within hockey circles as well. If he he could get other people that used to play hockey, coach hockey, or people that he knows that have high profiles to speak up on Alberta independence, I think it would be a big help, especially on a national level, to see those kind of figures saying Alberta independence is the future.
And I think he has been pretty outspoken for a while now, because I have seen him.
But what I'm saying is he has connections to other people, and he knows if they're amenable to the idea of Alberta independence and might be willing to speak up on it.
Do you want me to read through it or no?
Well, yeah, I'll say this. He nailed it right here. Absolutely. You can just read the big points, the bill and what it has to do with.
So it's a blueprints for control. Bill C2 is surveillance, broader data and access, warrantless digital info sharing. Bill C22 is surveillance and backdoor surveillance with mandatory digital retention, lawful access
Just the main
to
headlines.
backdoors. Bill C8 is infrastructure. Bill C9 is going after speech and ideology. Bill C11 after internet and media, and Bill C63 over digital safety.
This is just what we know they have on the shelf, ready to go with a majority government. Guarantee all these are going to pass, which I'm glad I'm out of the country at this point, to be honest. The bills they have that we don't know about yet, now that they have a majority government, they knew they were heading toward this majority government the entire time. There are sub-bills for all of these. It's going to be an absolute dystopian prison state once they're done. We need to
More
get
than
out.
it already is.
We need to get out now. Alberta independence actually is the only province that has a chance to do that because we were first to move. We have the first mover advantage.
Exactly. Hold on. Now I'm lost again.
There we go. We're in Alberta's Canada, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
From Ryan Gertison saying, quote, TTV with some very mixed messaging regarding Honda not building the EV plant in Ontario as they continue to try to stumble through this one. It's quite clear that Honda is very serious about keeping access to the US market.
Oh, no, you're in Alberta and the world.
Yes, Alberta and the world, sorry.
Okay.
Our
I was
government
trying to
is
find it
playing
on
a
my...
dangerous game with a lot of people's livelihoods. But also, I will say, again, when a person you're trying to date tells you, oh yeah, we'll talk later, we'll let you know, it's a no.
Honda's not the only one pulling this out. The rumors are the auto manufacturing is going to hollow out in Canada. This is just the beginning of the end. I mean, I think a lot of these industries are going to be hollowed out in Canada, and that's when you're going to see the federal government come in and actually build the industries from the ground up, which is communism. We need private investment, not the government trying to float all these industries with billions of dollars, number one, or trying to manufacture an industry from the ground up themselves. We need private investment, but the regulations are turning away private investment. That's why Alberta independence strategy will work. We see it working in the United States. The United States is outperforming China for the first time in decades when it comes to GDP.
When asked about Honda, the Prime Minister pointed out the auto sector is facing challenges because of U.S. tariffs. But some in the industry say this is really about the U.S. decision to turn away from EVs. The Honda plant in Alliston, Ontario was set to add 1,000 new jobs in a $15 billion expansion. According to a report out of Asia, Honda is shelving a plan to build an EV factory in southern Ontario. In a statement to CTV News, the carmaker said the content of the article was not released by Honda, and we have nothing to report at this time. The federal finance minister remains confident the plan isn't dead.
The word that they used was to put that on hold, so we'll see what the future is ahead.
The Conservative leader contends...
And that was the Chihuahua that kind of let the entire thing leak, and now it's causing a ripple effect. And people say, well, it works in China. Yeah, EVs work in cities, but as soon as you want to go from city to city, it's not a good idea. As soon as you're having to drive long distances, like in Western Canada, it's a complete flop. There's no infrastructure there.
And cold weather.
Even if we had the infrastructure and we had the sales the government wanted, we don't have the power grid to actually sustain it. It's a failure on every single level, and it's time to abandon it. Donald Trump has shown the pivot or the transition a nation can do.
And the Prime Minister's auto strategy is to blame for the plan not moving forward.
He claims that we're going to replace 83% of our automotive sales to the U.S. by making electric vehicles that people don't want to buy,
Mark Carney says the problem is the trade war with the U.S.
Obviously, there's challenges with the U.S. tariffs, unjustified tariffs in the auto sector. We continue to work with companies in the sector.
In February, the Japanese ambassador to Canada told CTV News expansion in this country is directly linked to the ability to export to the U.S.
Private companies, that means they have to calculate to increase profit. So Kuzma is very important part of the calculation.
Some in the auto industry blame the Trump administration for removing EV incentives and mandates in.
Of course they do, and they will continue.
And we'll continue in just a moment. We did have a super
Yes,
chat.
I
I
know.
really do appreciate that, by the way.
Yes, thank you so much, John McCary, for the $20 super chat. That's huge. Saying I moved from Ontario to Alberta in 2000. This province gave me a life I would never have had anywhere else. Oil and gas career, family, and prosperity. I tell my wife every day about what's coming with Carney. Love your work. Thank you so much, and thank you for letting us know your story, too.
Fantastic. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about, so we can piggyback off of this super chat to kind of open up this conversation. When we first started talking about Alberta independence, a lot of people inside Alberta said this is a movement for Albertans, by Albertans, and other people shouldn't talk about it. That's the wrong way to do this. We need to start a national conversation. Now that I've been interviewing a lot of people and kind of reaching out to people inside the Alberta independence movement, a lot of people actually came from Ottawa. Some of them came from Quebec. A lot of people know Freedom Calendar, which is Max, but he lived 20 years in Quebec. He's originally from Chile, and he's firmly on the side of Alberta independence because what he's seen on the East Coast, because what he's seen happening in Quebec. He calls it pure communism, what Quebec is trying to implement. A lot of people in Ottawa that we think will be against Alberta independence. There's like-minded people all over this nation, and we need to appeal to them with a national campaign and a national conversation. If they can move to Alberta to vote for independence, that will be huge. But just to even support Alberta independence from afar will be a help to us as well. It makes it much more difficult for the federal government to build a national conversation against independence, not just in Alberta, but within Saskatchewan, Quebec, and other places around the country.
And I think also being able to have those perspectives from people from that maybe moved into Alberta and that did live somewhere else, and that were able to see that difference and that change, and that we're able to build, as you mentioned, career, family, and prosperity. And then being able to have those voices also be outspoken about why it's important now to continue to keep Alberta and make Alberta actually independent.
Well, and they may be the best and the secret weapon that we have to go into cities and make those arguments. Yeah. A lot of people that are transplants from British Columbia or other places for work have moved into Calgary and Edmonton, and they are conservative minded and can reach a demographic from a different perspective. So hopefully we don't put ourselves within our own independence bubble and we start opening up the Overton window. And thank you for everybody that does watch from around Canada, the United States, and around the world. I also watch The Fringe a lot, and he has a lot of people, Unacceptable Fringe, from Ottawa and other provinces that firmly support Alberta independence. So let's not get in this bubble and think it's just Albertans that want freedom. The rest of Canada is looking at Alberta and saying, if you break free, it gives hope to us as well.
Exactly. And I will also say, I forgot. I'm not about you to me who got too long-winded there.
A lot of wind.
Especially in the morning. But what was I going to say?
Well, and thank you for that super chat.
Yes,
Thanks for bringing up that conversation as well.
I remembered. Because we were seeing the federal government, and we've been speaking about it a lot as well, why it's important to start that international conversation. The federal government is trying to silo this issue within just Alberta. They're trying to make it so it doesn't get out into the rest of the country, so it doesn't give ideas to the rest of the country. And so provinces, specifically, I would say Quebec and Alberta, don't speak to each other about independence, because if they're able to build those movements up, it could be a 1-2 punch against the federal government. So don't play into what the federal government itself wants to do to Alberta, which is silo that conversation.
Well, what do you like? They're trying to silo the conversation, just like she just said. I keep saying it, but the way they're doing, there's a 2 tier effect when they say, oh, foreign collusion from the US, foreign collusion, Russian money coming in. What it says to Albertans subconsciously is this is an Albertan movement. We shouldn't be taking help from outside Alberta. It's too dangerous. They're going to use it as foreign interference. And if they're successful at doing that, and a lot of people don't even know they have that thought, you're going to be hurting yourself in the long term. If we can get national conservatives on the side of Alberta independence, which the first principles are already in line, the content creators are already trending towards Alberta independence on a national scale, it's going to help us. That's why they're trying to build this foreign collusion narrative to put fear in Albertans to not reach out to the rest of Canada and the rest of the world. I actually think that's the real purpose of this, because the narrative fell apart very quick on the outside, but inside of Alberta, they're trying to build this cognitive dissonance of you better not go outside of Alberta, otherwise it's foreign interference, and it's going to hurt us in the long run as a movement.
And you also need those eyes of the world on Alberta and on the independence movement, because if and when the federal government does try to bring in censorship or consequences or continue to build up narratives like the whole Russia hoax, you want the rest of the world to be able to see what's happening and say this is insane, like they did during the Freedom Convoy. We already have that example that outraged a lot of people around the world. A lot of people, content creators, mainstream news were talking about the Freedom Convoy and what the federal government was doing to go against it, the shutting down of bank accounts. A lot of people found that insane. They couldn't believe that was going on in Canada. And we can get that again if and when the federal government does try to impose themselves upon Alberta even further, and to stop the Alberta's independence. But we'll go into comments and then we'll go into RUMBLE. No?
I wanted to finish the article we had.
But thank you so
I
much.
wanted to talk about the article as well.
Yes, the post.
That's why I put them in there now.
So we're going to finish it?
Yeah, finish the last bit and then we'll talk about it.
In the US.
Now, pause it. Nat wishes we had a show with no articles and it was just comments and that's it. Because we have a secondary channel with about 11,000 subscribers in Spanish, which she runs.
Spanish channel.
Because I don't speak Spanish. She does one article and then just reads comments for the whole show.
One post. You also keep calling them articles.
Because they are.
They're not. They're posts.
And they're articles in my mind.
It's on X. They're posts.
Nat, play the article.
The auto industry blamed the Trump administration for removing EV incentives and mandates in the U.S.
This is really about the Americans hollowing out the EV market and Honda having planned to serve that huge market from here.
Flavio Volpe points out Honda isn't leaving Ontario. The company just isn't expanding. But even that isn't good news for the Canadian auto industry.
They're not leaving yet, but all the indications show they're leaving and they're transitioning. They're currently rebuilding the manufacturing in the United States. Once that manufacturing's up and running, then you're going to see them start shutting down the plants within Canada. It's obvious where this is trending. This is leaked information as well. This is also coming from the mainstream media. So the fact that they're willing to admit that EVs are a failed industry because of U.S. policies, not because of tariffs. Ultimately, we see Mark Carney trying to dog walk, I think, liberals to change their perspective on natural resource development and other things, because I think ultimately he wants to federalize natural resources through the 30 by 30 program, as well as a few other policies he's kind of creating right now. Once he has control of those resources, you damn sure better believe he's probably going to start drilling at that point. He just doesn't want to do it as long as the provinces have control. And that's why it's important for independence in Alberta.
Exactly. Sorry about the dog. She heard everybody else barking. But now let's go into your comments, and then we'll head over to RUMBLE. Justin GP says, I agree with Guy's analysis. Which one? That was from
all of it. Thank you.
And as I always say, don't agree with everything anybody says on the internet. Use your own discernment, your own critical thinking. Look into things yourself as well. Build your own talking points, your own perspective, your own opinion. We've lost that continuously, and it increasingly gets lost even further and further. So I always say, I know less than I know more. Don't believe everything we say, anybody else says, and look into things yourself, because that will sharpen your own critical thinking skills as well. But thank you. Troglodyte says, looks like Beaker from the Muppets. The guy, the awkward, weird guy with the vehicle stuff. Todd says, hello, Todd says, hey guys, just got home making hay while the sun shines.
Oh, wow.
And the wind blows. And Harmony says, a real Looney Toony that guy is.
Yeah.
Not this one, the one that was talking. This one too.
Well, he just looked Looney Toony, but he was very awkward in his speaking as well. But I think it was the conversation. He was on the hot seat there. And I think he was going on mainstream media expecting an easy interview, and she gave it to him a little bit, surprisingly.
Well, it went against what he wanted to frame it as. Harmony says, Kevin Arnett, who lives in BC and has a... that's where the message stopped. Teresa says he's going to be on the Fringe on Monday night.
Who's
Unacceptable Fringe. Kevin Arnett,
okay.
I guess.
Fantastic. I'll check it out. I usually watch The Fringe right after we're done with our show.
Yes.
He's not on today, so we'll go in a little longer than usual.
Troglodyte says, I listen while I work. You're using a pumper or just using the truck chute to pour, or God forbid, wheelbarrows?
That's
beyond my pay grade.
Well, no, it's for
Cement?
the concrete, yeah.
Oh, okay.
For the driveways and the decks.
Got it.
Come on, Nat, get it together.
Harmony says Republic of Canada. Oh, I'm guessing Kevin Annette. He was on Sean Atwood of Britain, mentioned China has been in Canada for 3 decades. I'm guessing. Todd says...
Well, and I hope that would be nice if the Fringe starts bringing on some some different guests as well that can talk about very specific issues like the CCP, because he's the most watched within Alberta independence. And we need to start making those arguments maybe through his show and guests. I know I like to talk about these issues. I don't know him as in depth as some of the guests. And we recently had Nadine interview, and she talked about the CPP. Man, she really knows that subject inside and out. And I was telling Nat, we really need to start inviting guests on and digging into one subject.
And go check out Nadine's book, Alberta Rising, because it is very interesting as well. Todd says, and look up for the interview when it comes out that we'll release. Todd says, unless we get a huge pad, Uncle may get us a pumper. He's pretty cheap. He'll make us a wheelbarrow, no problem. And Mike, hello, Mike Freedom Honey says, great show, guys. Keep it up. Thank you so much, and same to you.
Well, and when he's talking about building driveways and decks, I used to live in Florida for a little bit, and again, my roommate, we needed to get jobs. So that one time, I think last show I talked about, there's a hurricane in New Orleans, and he says they're paying a lot. Even if you haven't done it, they'll train you on site. So we laid power lines, and then my other friend would build pools. He had actually a company, but he would hire us for day labor to build these massive freaking pools, and it was hell. It's just bags of concrete you're bringing in, mixing it yourself, and everything else. Okay, you can. I was putting Nat to sleep with my story. People are asking.
You don't let me tell me my stories, but you can tell your little stories.
Whoa,
Okay.
Nat, you need some pineapple pizza to calm down here.
Freedom Honey, again, says, thank you so much. Harmony says, my daughter started to call me by my first name. Igor mentioned this is what happens in communism. It is what happens in communism. Distancing from the family.
First, they're calling you by your first name, and then they're telling you what pronouns to refer to them with.
Yeah, exactly. Rage Against Machine says, failure is Carney's motif. And the destruction. I'm guessing it's managed destruction.
If I would have ever, when my mother was alive, called her by her first name and not called her mom, I would have get
it wouldn't have been nice.
More than a smack.
Same here.
And then again, I come from a different era, I guess.
Todd says, yes, Mike, they rock it out, eh? Thank you so much. Jesse GP says, I love how he says unjustified tariffs when they won't touch their dairy industry, so the tariffs are justified.
And these dairy cartels, all these freaking cartels benefit the East Coast and benefit Quebec and Ottawa. And that's why we're not able to develop certain industries within the West. And we need those industries in the West because it creates self-reliance.
James Halliday says, fact, and I'm a lifelong Albertan. Welcome to everybody else. I'm guessing Jesse GP says, I moved here from Ottawa for that very reason in 2010.
There's a shocking amount of people that move from Ottawa to Alberta. We need those people to appeal to people in cities.
Mike Freedom Honey says, smash that like button. Thank you so much. So smash it. Yes, we're trying to get to 100 likes per stream, and it really does help out. And Mike also says pineapple pizza is the devil. No, it's not.
That's what
Try
I say
it.
too,
It's
Mike.
great. Put honey on it.
We had a big debate over this earlier.
I was saying, we started talking about this earlier. I put honey on pizza. So there you go. I put honey on.
Shut up, woman.
Pizza with pineapple and pepperoni.
She puts pineapple on her tacos as well.
That's what we do in Mexico. Tacos al pastor. That's an actual thing. And you like those.
What I was also going to say is I think we're only a few subscribers away from 2,800. So if you're not subscribed, please do so.
Exactly. Thank you so much. But no, it's not that. Try it. And put honey on it.
Try to read another comment, Nat.
It says, my father has a quarter section in Drayton Valley, but he sold it and moved to Manitoba. Bad timing. Yeah. Jesse DB says, oh, Mike, or haha, Mike. Rage Against Machine says, problem is they come here, work our jobs, and send money out. Nothing stays here. Nothing builds here. All we are is an ATM. But if you become independent, then it does stay within the country now.
Yeah. And you can control what your policies are as well. So.
Jesse DB says, I was in Petawawa. Petawawa?
Yeah. I think it's Petawawa.
But it has two W's.
Okay, Petawawa.
Petawawa or Petawa? I thought it was Petawa too, but okay.
I thought you were going to say something else there for a minute.
Then move to Alberta. Let's see Nat pronounce that one. Oh, thank you for that, by the way. Petawawa, Petawa.
Okay, let's move on.
I tried.
Hooked on phonics work for me.
Mike Freedom Honey says, we're not Russian bots. Niet. Niet. Not yet.
We went in depth on that, and it's crazy how that got out to the international media.
Yes.
By the time it worked its way out to the international media, the RCMP had come out with the statement, yet they're still publishing their freaking stories.
And nobody ever, I mean, they sometimes do a tiny, tiny little correction at the bottom of an article that nobody will ever read.
And nobody's going to believe
that. So the lemmings will stay with the original
Nobody's going to believe that jargon, but you really have to look at it. What are they really trying to do there? They're trying to claim foreign interference from Trump, from Russia. What they're trying to say to Albertans is you better not look for help and you better not start a national conversation with people from other provinces. They're trying to silo your conversation by having this internal fear of you reaching out to anybody else. Because if you can hit them on every level, from Quebec to Saskatchewan to BC and every other province, raising their voices at the same time, the federal government's going to be on their back foot. They know that. I think this narrative of foreign interference is meant to silo the conversation internally.
Troglodyte says, I eat ruski pot, comrade. Thank you for being here, comrade. Harmony says, it was interesting that I met two women from Quebec the other day while doing my errands, and they want independence. Again, national conversation.
And I'm telling you, anybody that has moved, and there's a ton of transplants from the rest of Canada that moved to Alberta for independence, moved to Alberta for work, very quickly, a lot of seeds have been planted because they know where the East Coast is going and where the rest of Canada is going. We talked to Freedom Calendar, and he talked about his journey from Chile to Quebec, lived in Quebec for 20 years, then moved to Alberta, and he was a nationalist. And now he's firmly on the side of independence, and he talked about the seeds that kind of were planted and how he made that journey into independence. A lot of those people that moved to Alberta for work are going to be easy to convert to the independence movement, I believe.
Exactly. Troglodyte says, who with even half a brain wants to ride the Canada Clown Car off the cliff? And it's an EV on top of that.
Yeah.
That's the Canada Clown Car. Well, people without a brain, or that have their minds so wide open that their brains fell out. There's many of those in Canada. We should go find their brains. Justin GP says, poster article, posticle. If you said posticle, I would be fine with that.
That's too close to testicle.
Kai,
what?
We can't say that on stream.
You shouldn't have said posticle. Can't say that on stream.
Justin GP said that. Not me. Justin GP said poster article, posticle.
What do you think that sounds like?
That's not Justin GP's fault.
Posticles?
No, I can't.
Come on, read your posticles there.
Justin G. I'll hate your posticles. Justin GP says, guy was wondering about Smith versus Wilson, etc. Oh, and
that was a good
that was a good point. Yeah. Oh yeah, answer if you haven't answered. What you think about that dynamic? Who would win or who would do best? I guess.
Well, we're almost done reading the comments, but maybe next time I'll bring that conversation up again. So I'll do it in the beginning of the show. So hopefully we'll get comments by the end.
Yes. Justin GP says, I agree. Wilson wins over Smith. Smith and Mitch equal. Smith over Rath.
Yeah, and that's the exact same. Yeah. That's the exact same conclusion I came to, and that's assuming that Danielle Smith puts the question on the October 19th ballot, and then she's already in the position where if independence is voted for, she's the one that negotiates the separation from Canada unless she recuses herself. But if she does a good job in that, she's very well positioned in the new nation of Alberta. There's some people she can beat. There's some people it would be a coin toss, like with Mitch Vester, and I think she beats Rath ultimately. But Rath has to be the reason Rath's even mention Jeff Rath, Mitch Sylvester, and Keith Wilson because those are the leading figures within the movement.
Yes. But I agree.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation to have.
Chocolate says Smith is a federalist. She'll have to do a hard pivot. Pretty hard to sell that. The thing is, if she lets democracy flourish and she lets democracy continue and the vote is done and then Alberta becomes independent,
she doesn't need to make a hard pivot until much later because all the power is kind of in her hands and she's the one having to force it forward at every point. She's doing it through the talking point of I need to let democracy go forward, but she's the one ultimately going to put that on the October 19th ballot. And then she's ultimately the one to negotiate the separation from Canada. If she can work a good deal out with Canada, that's going to bring a lot of people over to her. And that's the point where she's going to pivot hard into a free and independent Alberta as well. It's the ball's really in her court, except if Keith Wilson runs. If Keith Wilson runs, I think it's a slam dunk for him. Like I said, Mitch Vester versus her is really a coin toss. And then there's the wild card of Jeff Rath, and Jeff Rath really is a wild card. He could run some a Donald Trump-like campaign and take it all from her. We seen the mainstream media invite him on, thinking they were going to run circles around him, and it went the other way around. And now they don't want him back because they don't know how to control him.
They're scared. Mike Freedom Honey says Theo Fleury will be on Monday. Oh, okay.
Oh, fantastic! Cool. We were just talking about his article. So yeah,
post. Justin GP says Todd's big old deck. LOL.
Maybe he's got some posticles on that deck. Sorry. Maybe I should save her for Rumble.
Charlie Knight says the first name you then report you. They first name you, then report you to the authorities. I think Harmony said that their daughter started calling them by the first name. Mike Freedom Money says, guys, pronouncing it right. Petawawa.
Petawawa.
And Primers 07 says, Nat has it right. Sorry, guy. Interesting. Justin to be says, lol, I knew I'd stump them. Pet-a-wawa. Lol.
Hooked on
so it's two
phonics,
wawas. It's not petawa. It's not petawa, it's petawawa. Primers 07 says pet-a-wawa. That's what I said.
Okay, come on now.
Chocolate says, meanwhile, we have MPs that are under foreign influence. Exactly. CSIS already came up with in the last 2-3 elections by now, I'm guessing, there has been actual Chinese interference during the electoral process in Canada.
Look, at this point, we knew this before they had a majority government. They just keep going hard communism. People keep going that way. And I'm going to tell you what, the polling numbers don't look good for conservatives on a national level because conservatives like us already left the freaking country because we could see the writing on the wall. There was no Alberta Independence Coalition at that point where you have enough like-minded people that will actually break free and stand up together. When I was trying to push back in BC, there wasn't anybody. The only people that there were people calling me crazy, racist, and all kinds of other names. I said, we got to start saving to get out of here. And we did. And hundreds of thousands of other conservatives have done the same. You're in a very special moment where you can save your country, which is Alberta.
Yes.
It's not a province anymore.
No. Todd says, too much foreign interference in Canada from all over the place.
Yeah.
Basically.
It seems like the Liberals just want more of it.
Freedom of Speech Censor, hello, says, we are rooting for your independence from the demonic crown in Montana, regardless if y'all decide to join the U.S. or become your own country. Thank you.
Yeah, you want an ally on north of the border, not an enemy for sure.
Yes. Todd says, I'm voting Todd for presidente. Same. Chocolate says, you too, with your posticles. Todd says, you should have seen the sculpture, the pump next to us left today. Because I'm guessing a cement thing.
Yeah, the cement will drip out of the truck because they're trying to put it in wheelbarrows. And so there must be a lot on the ground.
Todd says, Ceases and Justin have been on to me for a while now because you're going to be presidente. Rage Against Machine says, if we don't win this, I might be moving to Mexico. I can give you suggestions if you want.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Or
in the
the US.
content creator space, people are talking about this. This is a real conversation to be had. And that's why everybody's pushing so hard to save Alberta right now. It's really the last hope for all of Canada. If Alberta wins, there's hope for other provinces as well. If it doesn't go the way that we want, or they do something underhanded to stop the vote, a lot of people are going to not only be fleeing Alberta, a lot of people are going to be fleeing the rest of Canada.
More than they already are. That's the thing. That's what we were talking with Dallas Brody.
It will be a super majority for Liberals at that point if Alberta independence doesn't go forward.
Which is why in the back of my head, I am sometimes thinking, well, maybe they'll just let it happen so they can continue to reign with unlimited power. Todd says, I'm right behind you, guy, getting out of Canada. If we don't get this independence thingy we talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sentiment just all over the place as well. Hold on. Okay, I read that one.
I really dread to think if a lot of conservatives and Albertans leave Canada or leave Alberta if the independence vote doesn't go our way for some reason, and then think they're saving themselves by moving to the United States, and then Gavin Newsom gets in.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like that would be demoralizing for a lot of people.
Yes.
So maybe considering somewhere other than the United States, I don't know, but there's not a lot of countries left. The entire West is going towards communism, pivoting towards China.
South America is looking better and better with each election that they
Yeah,
have.
I mean, places like El Salvador and stuff like that.
El Salvador, Chile with Cast, who just got elected. Colombia might be turning around as well. Brazil might be turning around as well. Argentina is kind of weird still, but I mean, another
But
option.
again, these aren't English-speaking countries. It's obviously easiest to pivot to the United States because the culture is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And people that don't want the liberal rule of Mark Carney of communism want a conservative president and things like that. It makes it very, very difficult, especially when a lot of these Democratic presidents are talking about, oh, we're going to add Puerto Rico, we're going to flood the Supreme Court as well. Like they fear another Trump. So if they get into power, they're going to be aligning with Carney big time.
Yes. KP4U says, well, you wanted to know, lol. I would vote for Jeff over Daniel, hands down, for one basic reason. Jeff has drive, focus, and he's more likely to do what his goals are and obtain them. It's not a real comparison because it's like apples to oranges. Politician that's well known with a good track record versus lawyer that nobody actually sees what he does. It's like I don't call a bakery when my shutters are closed. Daniel would win, but I would vote for Jeff even though he's not a politician.
Very good
Thank you
to know.
for letting us know.
Very good analysis as well. I like why you put your thought process in there. But he also thought Danielle Smith would win if that was the actual race.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most interesting race of those three that we talked about would be Danielle Smith against Mitch Sylvester. I literally think that's a freaking
coin toss.
Coin toss if Danielle Smith does those two things that we talked about, which would position her well against anybody.
Yeah. And Tal Talks, hello, says howdy again, Nat and Guy, hello. And Justin GP says if the vote doesn't go through, you're going to need a bigger apartment, Nat and Guy. LOL.
Mexico's going to need a bigger country, especially if a Newsom gets in the United States, because the people that flee to the United States will probably be going to the Mexican border coming this way.
Yeah. Charlotte says Alberta is the last bastion. Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be a good shirt. Todd says, yeah, at the end of the job, the pump can draw a picture on the ground with the leftovers, popsicles, and sticks, and stick sculpture, or a long neck dinosaur, maybe. Rage Against Machine says, what's the cost of living like in Mexico? It depends because we're close to Mexico City, so it depends on what state you're looking at as well.
We live in the most expensive part because it is Mexico City, and it's getting a lot higher. That being said, it's a lot cheaper than the United States or Canada. Also, if you live in the rural countryside, it is extremely cheap, especially if you know how to speak Spanish because you can go to much more local businesses. There's a big difference between the price in family-owned businesses and corporate businesses. The thing is, I speak English, so I tend to go to like Costco, corporate businesses and stuff. They're still going to be cheaper than the United States. But if you know the lay of the land and you speak Spanish, you can leave for very cheap, especially depending on the area. The problem is once you go outside a lot of the major cities, it becomes dangerous as well, though.
Yeah, and you'd have to really know where you're going and who you're interacting with as well outside of the major cities.
And outside of the major cities, there are conclaves of like Americans and expats. But those communities are usually a little bit higher priced as well. The property costs more, stuff like that. So it's very interesting.
Not conclaves, enclaves.
Enclave.
You always say that.
Well, you know, we're looking for we're looking for a new pope, Nat.
When you said enclaves, conclaves, I just imagined a bunch of popes together. But I was going to say about the cost of. However, in the bigger cities, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and some of the beach towns where a lot of the expats go, they are getting close to some of the cheaper cities within the US. That's the thing, or comparable as well. But again, coming from Vancouver, for example, of course, we consider it way cheaper because we were, spending money out of our behinds.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on where you're looking and what you're comparing it to as well.
Well, and I have noticed since we started the show, a lot of Canadians and Americans moved down here trying to live off of their pensions, and that was their plan, and they didn't effectively budget properly or know it was going to cost as much as it does. It's not extremely expensive, but trying to live off a pension, it's very hard at this point. It's getting just above living off of a pension.
In the cities.
It's getting a little bit too expensive at this point.
Yes.
Because it used to be you could live off your pension easily down here.
Yeah. And again, in some smaller rural towns or cities, potentially and probably yes. But again, in the bigger cities with more things to do and more safety, honestly, it's comparable. It's getting comparable up there. Todd says, not popsicle, what was it now? Was a pretty graphic sculpture anyways. You guys can imagine. I'm glad you have fun. That's what I'll say. Mike from Freedom Honey says, the French team for new leaders of the Republic. Comrades. I found that post you did about the Russian stuff very funny.
Oh yeah, and I seen the Fringe today made a video where he was on the AI Fringe with with the Russian hat. It was good.
What are those called? They have a name. Todd asks,
well, Mike's got one on the show, so he'd probably know the name.
Let us know.
The hat that the Russian hat.
Yeah. Todd asks, what's rent in Mexico City? Don't need much. Yeah, rural Mexico. Yes, please, guy. It really depends on what you're looking for, because you can rent a house and it'll be similar to like what are those called? A condo in Vancouver, for example. But I only know that comparison. So compared to Alberta, I'm not fully sure actually. I'd have to look into it. But I'll look into it.
But Alberta is pretty high cost as well. So if you're adjusted to
cities.
If you're adjusted to Canadian costs, it's extremely cheap to Canadian costs. That being said, a lot of people can't get jobs down here unless they're working remotely. That's why you have a lot of liberals that live here. They want a cheaper cost of living, but and they're the only ones that really have remote work in the tech industry and stuff.
Todd says, I can learn to dance and Spanish, maybe, lol, fix all the farm equipment. But there you go. There you go. You can have a job there and you could be living in the countryside where it's arguably nicer, but again, depending on where you go.
Yeah.
And for example, the guy still is trying very slowly to learn Spanish, and he manages.
And foreigners, technically there's laws against owning property down here, but if you open a
business,
not a corporation. I forgot what you call it. You can basically open a business and then buy the house in that name. That's how foreigners get around it usually. Yeah. Now I'm not recommending that's how most foreigners own property down here.
Not real estate, travel, or financial advice.
Okay,
or medical advice.
Let's start wrapping up.
Right, because Machine says, what about cartels? Are they a problem? If you're with a local, if you don't get involved, obviously, with any shady activity, or if you know where you're going and stay within the major cities, within the major areas, and it's pretty obvious where you should and shouldn't go, especially, for example, in Mexico City, then you should be fine. But again, don't be stupid either. Yeah. That's kind of what I always say. But sometimes it's overinflated, sometimes it's not inflated enough, the safety issue. Todd says, I'd come to Mexico and live check to check, just like I do here, guy without the cold. And it's not, it's warm, but it's not super warm either, especially in Mexico City, for example.
Well, right now, as far as safety goes, now the cost of living is going up because he made the country so freaking safe, is El Salvador.
Yes.
So a lot of Americans and Canadians are liking it. The locals are complaining there because the cost of living is going up because he really opened up immigration to American and Canadians
And they don't love that.
to open up businesses and stuff like that. But it's an extremely safe country, at least right now.
Todd asks, where's my damn rubles already? I'm wondering the same thing. Mike Freedom Honey says, Amazon special, $37 for the hat. Thank you for letting us know.
What was the name of
But
that
what's the
kind of
name?
hat?
I don't.
I didn't know the name of that kind of hat.
I know it has a name. I just don't remember it. Todd says, I pay $1,000 a month. Have it sweet here. It's cheap compared to most. 1,000 Canadian, so it's like 5 pesos. What is 1,000 Canadian? Let me look at it.
1,000. So, I don't know.
I'll let you know in a second.
She's using her peso converter on the phone, which she uses for me a lot.
So it's 12,654 pesos.
12,000 pesos.
Yeah.
So basically, 100. Oh God, I don't know. 100 pesos is about $5 American.
I'll let you know.
No, let's leave it. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so 100 pesos is 5.79 American and 7.9 Canadian.
You're not good at math. Let's keep
I'm not
going.
good at math. No, don't even pretend to be because I'm not. But I mean, in Vancouver, we were paying what was at the end. It was 3,000 a month, something
that
like
was
that,
cheap.
for one bedroom.
And that was cheap.
Yes.
So.
Todd says, "Okay, good to know, Nat. Thanks a billion." Thanks for your questions as well. Again, I do love to talk. He doesn't let me.
Well, and the food prices are extremely cheap. Like the cost of living prices are extremely cheap compared to Canada, especially.
And that's the thing. It depends on where you're looking and comparing it to.
Yeah.
But we're heading over to RUMBLE just for 2 last stories to finish reading the comments over there. But thank you so much to everybody that joined us, everybody that sent the super chat as well. It's incredibly appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed yet,
we're 1 subscriber away from 2,800 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please do so.
Yeah, so thank you so much if you do subscribe, just as we said it. Now, Rage Against Machine says 20-1, and Todd says, so many pesos down there, cheap and crummy is fine there, lol. But also you don't want something too cheap because then if there's an earthquake, it'll crumble. So but that's one thing to consider as well. But we'll see you over at RUMBLE. There's a 30-second wait screen. Again, be that lucky person that helps us get to 2,800 subscribers. And thank you so much to everybody that has subscribed. Don't forget to hit the like button. And again, we'll see you over there in about 30 seconds on RUMBLE. Our username is down there.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Let's get ready to